of reality. Nicholas O'Kelly and Drew Howard on
The Weekend Sit and Spin. We'll keep on spinning all day long. It's the Weekend Sit and Spin. We'll keep on spinning all night long. We'll sit, we'll spin, 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 spin. With Nick O'Kelly and Drew Howard.
And welcome to the Weekend Sit and Spin here this morning on KineticHiFi.com in Charleston, South Carolina. I am your host this morning, Nick O'Kelly. With me, as always, the KineticHiFi.com studios, Drew Howard. Welcome in, Drew Howard.
Hey, good morning, Nick.
And ladies and gentlemen, this morning we have extremely sad news burdened on our hearts this morning. As a member of the KineticHiFi.com radio production team, studio, business, the owner, founder, friend, great kid, student, everything else. I mean, there's words can't describe overall, I think, Brad Cooper, as he has passed from us this week in a car accident a couple of, or was it 2 nights ago?
2 nights ago, yeah.
On Kiowa Island. So our thoughts and prayers and sentiments going to his family this morning, to our family here at Kinetic Hi-Fi. Because as we've said, lots of people have commented, put up posts on Facebook and memorial posts and this sort of thing. But as we said on there and to so many people this week, the Sit and Spin wouldn't be without Brad, very honestly.
Oh, exactly. I mean, he took a chance on us and gave us a slot, a year and a half ago, and I mean, he was very instrumental with everything he did, not only here at Kinetic Hi-Fi, but also helping us get set up at the 907 studios, and just amazing to run. It's a horrible loss for the whole Charleston area.
Yeah, we're extremely sad. Didn't know what to say when heard the news the other day. In fact, it was awful that I had to hear it. I heard it through Facebook, and that's what I put. It makes it worse when you really can't say goodbye to people. I mean, he was 22. I mean, you just don't expect that kind of thing at that age.
Exactly, and we'll keep you updated through the Facebook pages as far as memorials and services go. The details haven't been made on that, but definitely keep not only his family but everybody here at Kinetic Hi-Fi and Boyd in your thoughts and prayers. Yeah,
absolutely. Because, like we said, a partner to Boyd and one of the owners of the studio itself. So, very obviously very difficult for the whole operation here. So, anyway, we wanted to put that out and hope that you'll pray and help remember Brad in your thoughts in the coming weeks and his family as well. So, with that being said, we attempt to allow the show to go forward here. That's what we do at the Weekend Sit and Spin, because there's always new news, always things to go over.
So let's go ahead and take a moment of silence, and we'll get out to a really quick break here, and we'll get back into this. Pick up probably at 5 after the hour, and just like a quick 60-second break after a moment of silence.
That's
here.
Right.
And we'll pick up with that. All right, Brad, we love you, miss you, man. You'll never be forgotten as long as Kinetic Hi-Fi is here, man. And we'll be right back after this to get the Sit and Spin rolling.
fighting every day. So what do I pray?
Yeah, that's right. It's what happens when you cross bad with good. You're listening to KineticHiFi.com. It's Bud.
At 164 King Street, find an oasis of calm, the Charleston Library Society, celebrating the written word, dedicated to enlightened thought within an atmosphere of gentility and learning. Established in 1748, it's the South's oldest cultural institution, and you're invited to visit. Come experience the elegant main reading room, our children's center, and join in to enjoy our speakers series, concerts, and other fine programs. Affordable membership is available now and always at the Charleston Library Society.
We got talk shows, we got sunglasses, we got music, we got fake Rolexes. KineticHiFi.com. Keep it locked in, honey butter.
All right, welcome back. The Weekend Sentence Man. I'm Nick O'Kelly, Drew Howard, getting it pumped back up here this morning because, as I said, the show must go on. And with that being said, we have, we
have an amazing week of stuff we got to get to. This has been a crazy week, culminating, of course, yesterday with everybody's, can I just say, head buried in the sand out there, really?
Oh, yeah.
Running around, woo, freedom, America, Bud Light, woo!
I was going to say that the 4th of July, it really is humbling experience to sit back yesterday on the 4th and not necessarily myself be able to fully appreciate and celebrate our independence because I see us falling into a new form of tyranny that people are completely oblivious to.
Exactly. I was extremely cynical yesterday because the whole time I was walking around, it was like all I could think of was, the Bill Hicks bitch. So you're free to do what you're told. Go back to bed, America.
Yeah, seriously.
And that's really the state we were in with this. I mean, there are massive, massive issues coming out, things that we can't even contemplate because every day there's some massive scandal that's hitting. It's not a made-up scandal.
No.
It's not what Obama says. It's not made-up conspiracy theories out there. These are real scandals. You're pushing socialism. You can sit there all day long and say, it's not a conspiracy, it's not socialism, I'm not an imperial president, but you are an imperial president.
Yeah. And
all that's missing is for you to get damaged in a battle with John Boehner so you get scarred and then you come in front of the Congress and tell how bad the Jedi are and we got to do away with the Galactic Senate. That's all that's missing from him being the emperor.
And a lot of times, if you look historically at tyrannies, you have generally the people totally brainwashed in one form or another. And it amazes me now, whenever you put up anything about Obama, whether it's blatantly obvious that it's illegal and unconstitutional or not, such as, there's a mass of examples, but you put it up on Facebook, you're going to get people, oh my God, I can't believe you don't like him because he's black and he does all this great stuff. And it's just like, wow, you people really don't see what's in front of you.
Yeah, you're making about as much sense as a 7-year-old that's praying to him.
Yeah.
Let me find that clip from earlier in the week where he said it's not socialism, it's not imperial president, it's getting things done.
You can type in President talks about building new roads and bridges in Google and isn't imperial president.
Yeah, I just typed in it's not socialism. I took the quick route there. Google knows what I mean. Here we go. But and he's talking about putting in mass transit trains and stuff, which are socialist dreams.
Yeah.
The certainty they need to plan ahead. It would help small businesses ship their goods faster.
What small businesses? You've killed them all.
Help parents get home to their kids faster. And it wouldn't add to the deficits because we pay for it in part by closing tax loopholes for companies that are shipping their profits overseas to avoid paying their fair share of taxes. Seems like a sensible thing to do. It's not crazy. It's not socialism.
There they are. Just, he's so funny.
It's not the imperial presidency or
comedian in chief here. You know,
He's
Here's
only
the-
as funny as Harry Lennox can be, and I mean, Harry Lennox is a very serious dramatic
yeah,
actor.
he's really not a very funny guy. I mean,
No.
no, but let's
Did
get
you think
down.
he was funny as the General in Superman?
Here's the real thing behind this too that just
Man of
kind of
Steel.
irks me is that nobody talks about the fact that Amtrak constantly push to go faster and have more and more regulations put on them, but yet they're falling into disrepair as a company, and those trains are falling apart. We have a train system in this country that isn't taken care of, so why is he wanting to build more? You know, like I said,
because only he can build it.
and that exactly. I'm not against a train. I like
No.
trains, but we have one that nobody's taking care of.
And that's my thing is, why don't we have private companies? Why don't we have Amtrak putting in the 300-mile-an-hour bullet trains like you
Yeah,
have in Japan?
exactly.
Why aren't we moving up to the mag level trains?
Because
Why-
they're being regulated by the federal government.
Let's look at our whole technology as a whole. Why are we still flying around in 747s 50 years after they came out? Mm-hmm. You know, that 757 launched in what, the late 60s? So we're going on 50 years that plane's been in service, and it's still the workhorse for most of the airlines?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Why have we not innovated? Where's the technological growth there? You know, why are we in 2014 and we don't have hoverboards? We don't have flying cars. We don't have holographic Jaws movies. Well, the best we can get's a 3D, a real D.
Yeah,
but
and
that's
that
not
wasn't
gonna be
even
the
a good-looking
holographic.
Jaws.
No.
We can't get that.
We
You
can't
kidding
get
me?
crappy holographics. Come on. Why can't we get a Pizza Hut pizza that I can put in a rehydrator and, you know, I don't have to wait on a delivery guy?
Yeah.
That can't find my place with a GPS because he's, you know, brain damage from the fluoride in the water.
It's a good question though, because even though these things did come from a movie, obviously it's not. You wouldn't think that they would be too far from what we could have if we were allowed the freedoms to get there.
And the thing is, it's, you know, we know the technocrats say they gloat about being 30 years to advance on us. You know, all estimates from whistleblowers say it's closer to 50 to 100 years advanced technology on us. But they're hoarding it. They're not. You know, the technology is not trickling down because you're getting this elite ruling class of global bankers.
Mm-hmm.
You
Obama,
know, all these people yesterday running around, you know, freedom, America, 4th of July, woo. How free are you? You are a slave to the Federal Reserve. America has not been free for the last 101 years thanks to the Federal Reserve.
And people say, well, I am free.
You're born into the system, you live in the system, and you die in the system. It's a matrix that you don't see.
Yeah.
They've replaced the chains of bondage with invisible chains of debt.
If you're not in not in debt right now, you could make a case for being free. But I just there's such a small percentage of people that don't even have debt or that don't have debt anymore. It's practically impossible.
And then you get to land regulations with the BLM, that kind of stuff. I mean, it's such a small amount of unregulated land that you can possibly get. Most of it's in Alaska, you know, and you can look. There's some great YouTube videos with Dr. Nick Baggage that talks about it and how he owns government unregulated land in Alaska. You know, and that's truly his free land to do what he wants. He's king of his castle there.
The thing that I think is finally going to start waking people up, this is one of the conversations I heard more than anything yesterday, just simply because everybody's out grilling and this kind of thing. But what I think is finally going to wake people up is food prices, meat prices.
And we've been talking about it for months on here, how they're going up. You know, meat prices, beef prices, pork prices are all-time highs now. Ranchers are being put out of business. And it's all global corporations of meat. I mean,
and that was a big conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
People are grilling out hamburgers saying, hey, these cost triple what they did 2 years ago.
Exactly. And what happened to the people getting upset over, like, Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, for instance, you know, that changed the meat packing industry? And instead, you know, there was a push where you got back to local farmers. You got back to grass-fed beef and, you know, free-range beef, basically. But then that's all been pushed out now. Very few places are dealing with grass-fed beef. Triangle Charm Bar across the road here does. You know, they have great grass-fed beef, grass-fed bison. Do want to give a shout-out to the Home on the Range burger. Amazing burger, fried onion, bacon, barbecue sauce, bison meat.
Oh, man, that sounds good.
Yeah, it does. Head over to Triangle Charm Bar. They'll be open here in about an hour. Definitely, if you're in the Charleston, Avondale area, head over there, get you a burger.
I see that more often in grocery stores, too. Like yesterday, I noticed a section of farm-raised eggs.
Oh, nice.
Or I'm sorry,
Free-range eggs.
cage-free. You know, cage-free, farm-raised, whatever. They have
Well, that
different
just
labels.
means, cage-free you got to watch, too, because that just means they don't put them, they still have them in the giant chicken houses. They just don't have them in the cage. They're wandering around, so they're pecking each other.
Some of them say free-range, though.
Yeah.
And
free-range is the best.
You are seeing a push for people who are understanding. And see, you know, you talk about the jungle. It's a great point to bring up because think about the revelation of the pink slime what was that, 5 years ago, whenever it was, and how smaller of effect by percentage that had than the jungle, and that's probably just as big of a revelation as the jungle was.
And then remember, after the pink slime, we turned around and we had the black fibers in the chicken McNuggets that got even less of a conversation than the pink slime. It's like people just, as it gets worse, people choose not to care. You know, they want to live in this bubble of not being affected, even though they are, of being ignorant, basically. They choose to be ignorant.
Close their eyes as they're putting the chicken nuggets in their mouth. Which,
I mean,
people still line up around McDonald's, man. They're not, I will say that overall, you see McDonald's losing money. Their stock prices have gone down in general over the past couple of years. So maybe there is an awakening where people are realizing, but it's going to take people rejecting that culture altogether, of fast food, the fast food nation culture. That's what needs to be rejected.
Well, and that's why they hook them young with the Happy Meals.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's big tobacco.
All right, you're listening to the Weekend Sit and Spin. Got the border breaking down. 60% of solid liberals not proud to be Americans. That's kind of what we're talking about here now. Pro-AMC crowds burning flags yesterday. There's just so much to go over. We're going to get into it next.
Democrats handing out lollipops for votes.
Oh, yeah. Can you believe that? That's almost... I thought it was a joke.
And how about our wonderful dear leader Obama spending 3 days in Texas and no trips to the border?
He didn't need to. He's got advisors for that. He's got 8.
Be careful, Nick. That might come off as racist.
We'll be right back.
Love you in a tame way, and I have loved you wild. Sometimes there's a part of me has to turn from.
Yeah, that's right. It's what happens when you cross bad with good. You're listening to KineticHiFi.com. It's Bud. Look, it's simple. Maximizing communication is the single most effective means of maximizing profitability. The most powerful tool at a dentist's disposal is an organized, effective team. But what dentist can afford to close their practice and carry their team to costly retreats? What you need is a highly specialized program designed to address issues of motivation, communication, inspiration, vision, and leadership to ensure success. And you need it now. Dr. Chilcutt's dental team turnaround courses are far more effective than far-flung alternatives. And the best part? At a quarter the cost of expensive retreats, these courses can be completed in the comfort and familiar surroundings of your own office. Save time, save money, save your sanity. Equip, empower, and enrich your practice today by visiting dentalteamturnaround.com. That's dentalteamturnaround.com. Or call Dr. Chilcutt directly at 205-765-4459. That's 205-765-4459.
Surprise the love of your life with the meal of their dreams. Why fight traffic, weather, wait lists, annoying waiters, when the best of Charleston can come to you? Chef Michael Fanal has over 20 years of culinary expertise to please your palate. Enjoy a romantic getaway in the privacy of your own home. Pricing is much more affordable than many downtown locations, and gift certificates are available. Simply visit cookingforcouples.co, cookingforcouples.co, or call Chef Michael 843-714-8693, 843-714-8693.
For the third year in a row, Condé Nast Traveler is named Charleston, South Carolina, the world's best city. Now, a radio station that brings Charleston to the rest of the world. You're listening to KineticHiFi.com.
It is the weekend sit and spin. We're aboard this crazy train this morning. Well, actually, I guess we should be thankful that we're not aboard.
We're not aboard the crazy train that's coming here. Did you see this? This is crazy. This really is a crazy train. Did you see the trains of immigrants that are coming where they're making them ride on top?
Yeah. Talk about a death train.
Yeah, these are coming from El Salvador, places south of Mexico, Honduras and places. And it's literally people climbing on top of the train cars and riding into the country.
See, this is how you know that it is a militarized operation here, because Mexico had to open up their southern borders, too, to allow all these trains to come through and all these smugglers.
And we're getting reports that the Mexican military is lining the train tracks. Do not get off here. You'll be shot.
Oh, yeah.
It's get to America. Go there.
Yeah, go straight there. Do not pass go. You can leave our country to go to America and be oppressed, but you can't go to another part of our country. If you stay here, you're going to be oppressed. And that's how they're spinning it, that it's a humanitarian crisis that we can't allow. Oh, which, by the way, you see they've reclassified the kids. You can't say illegal immigrant children anymore. They're unaccompanied children.
Unaccompanied dreamers.
Unaccompanied dreamers, right.
It's all about the semantics, folks.
Obama says don't make it harder for the best and the brightest to come here. They're making it pretty easy for them to come here.
And again, here's the thing with that. Here's the thing. If we were actually taking the best and brightest from the world, that would be a different discussion. If this was a redoing of Project Paperclip, where we're taking all the Nazi scientists again, then we could have a discussion about this. Would it be right or wrong? But that's not what we're taking here. We're taking the infirmed. We're taking the crippled, the sickly, the obese. Do we need to talk again about the 45,000 pairs of 6X underwear they bought?
Yeah.
These things are a yard wide, folks.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. I think back to a Seinfeld bit on one of the shows where he's talking about the Statue of Liberty's plaque that says, "Bring us your tired and this thing, your huddled masses," or whatever. And he kind of he expands on that and says, "Can't we get some of your good people, some of your scientists?" And he kind of expands on what it is. We're literally, that was a joke then in the 90s.
But no, it's
now it's literally, we're taking the dregs, the impoverished, the poor people.
Do we need more obese people in Walmart riding around on mobility scooters? Do we? That's the question I'm posing to you. How much of our societal problems could be solved if we burnt every Walmart to the ground?
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I think that's the kind of thing that's going to need to happen to turn the economy around. But see, more people are going to get on the welfare state, so Walmart's going to be the only place they can afford to shop, as they roll back all their prices, which continues to shut down more competitions in the free market, because that's what Walmart's designed to do. I mean, this really is just an absolute frontal assault on the economy, on the American people.
Well, let's look at Walmart, McDonald's, any of these major corporations. When did it come that the corporate's policy is not to provide either the food or the goods or retail or whatever their mantra is supposed to be for their company, but it's all about land ownership. McDonald's isn't about their franchises everywhere. They're not about selling Happy Meal toys or Big Macs. They're about owning the land that the business is on. Walmart's the same way. It's all about land grabs. And when do we let our corporations do that? Was it when Romney was sitting out there saying that corporations are people?
Well, and that was part of the Hobby Lobby. We'll get into some of it a little bit later, but part of the ruling was people were saying, well, they don't have any First Amendment rights because they're a wealthy corporation. I also people group these corporations together. I like what you're saying there, that we really have let a certain group of corporations get out of hand.
Exactly, and it's not your smaller regional corporations. It's not your grocery stores, for instance, are very regionalized still. Here in the South, we have a lot of food lines. That's popular because it's out of Salisbury. You get to Midwest, you have a lot of Kroger's, things like that. They're still very regional. We're not talking – regional corporations are great. Smaller ones, because a lot of times they stay more like Hobby Lobby, where they are family-owned, close-owned.
They pay local taxes.
They pay local taxes. They're not like Walmart that's getting every tax break in the world and then buying up the land it's on. And then, in a lot of cases, Walmart not only owns the building they're in, but the entire shopping center. So they're getting rent off of the Radio Shack that's in that shopping center. They're getting rent off the GameStop that's there, because it's always the same stores that follow Walmart.
Wow. I have not thought about this. This is really cool because, of course, in college, this was a big topic for me, was urban sprawl and corporations taking over the downtowns and this kind of thing. It was a big deal for me. I've never given thought to the fact that it's not just the big box mantra, because that's a big problem. They buy up in bulk from overseas so they can sell it cheaper than everyone else. I've given the analogy of the bookstore before. They could put out a book 2 weeks early
and take the fees.
That shuts down bookstores. I've never thought about them owning the entire shopping center and taking up the land. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, look into it. When you get to the top corporates, and they'll even say in their speeches when they come out and give speeches to shareholders and stuff, they will give the breakdown on their land, how it's about getting the land for these things.
Well, and a lot of these corporations, that's why we call them multinational corporations. They're run more like countries,
exactly,
like big governments, than they are actual corporations anymore. Apple, Google, Microsoft, and these are Disney especially. I mean, good Lord, Disney is larger than most countries on the planet. I mean, seriously. And they own a large portion of the media, too.
Can I say something about Disney? And Freeman Fly's videos get a lot into Disney, particularly with the occultish references, the CIA startings with Walt Disney and everything. But one of the big things about Disney is, besides them buying and taking every fairy tale, now they own Marvel, now they own Star Wars. They're basically changing our history of more of myths and tales and legends. But besides that, okay, go back to the ancient druids, the ancient wizards, Merlin. You know, it actually exists. I'm talking the real Merlin,
right.
Not the King Arthur one. But all of these ancient wizards, ancient magical societies and things, they would use the wands. They weren't like Harry Potter, made out of unicorn hair or phoenix tail. They were made out of wood from a holly tree. Hollywood is what they were made out of. It's mysticism. They're throwing it in our face with all this mysticism still. And
interesting.
Yeah. That was something I thought was really neat, that all the ones were, and you know, Hollywood was the mysticism of it.
There's very few things that don't. It's sad that there are very few things, especially out of Hollywood, that are original. You know, things come from old tales, from myths, from actual historical facts.
Yeah, I got to thinking about it the other day. The Lego movie is basically a retelling of They Live.
Yeah, it really is.
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I mean, that's what Disney really did. They took a lot, in fact, in some cases, a lot of really screwed up fairy tales. A lot of those tales, if you go read the originals, are everyone ends up dying. They're Hamlets.
It's changing our reality through
and they marketed old tales to kids.
Yeah, ABC Family comes out and brings out shows about lesbian cops adopting a lot of foster kids, and then what's their tagline on there? A new type of family. They're subliminally changing your families from traditional family units to these new types of family.
See, and that's I think really the biggest attack on the American people is the breakdown of the family, which they're also assisting with this influx of immigration.
And look, what was the biggest thing that happened in Russia during communism? They broke down the family units. The kids weren't raised by parents, they were raised by the states. Everybody buried their head in the sand. They got so wasted on vodka that they didn't care that they were being brutalized and killed, and they didn't have food. They were waiting for hours around the block for a loaf of bread.
You know, united we stand, divided we'd fall does not only apply to the nation of America.
No,
that
it
implies to
humanity.
individual humans, individual family units. We are stronger together. That's the whole point. You have confidence when you're in a relationship, when you're married. It gives you confidence to be a human being. That's one of the reasons why it's designed by God to be that way. That's why they break it down, because, again, divided we fall. When they single you out, they make you not only an individual, but an oppressed individual that has no resources around you. Then you have to operate off the government roll, which is what they want. And that's why they influx all these immigrants who are already used to that. These people are already used to poverty and living in cages and this kind of thing.
Exactly. And we've got a article right here out of the Washington Times, the immigration surge en route to a third world USA.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it will happen, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be fooled by this humanitarian crap. They do that to play on your emotions so you'll feel bad and want to encourage and support allowing these immigrants in here. That's why they constantly only talk about the kids. Notice they only talk about the kids. You never hear about the adults. But they're not just kids, they're teenagers. They're already gang members and this kind of thing as well. And again, this will destroy the country. Absolutely. You can't allow illegal immigrants to just walk across the border, but it's happening.
Mm-hmm. And we've got this right here. The humanitarian crisis on the southern border is the most persuasive evidence of all that America is adrift in a sea of incompetence, blown about by every ill wind that blows. The mighty ship of state is bereft of a rudder, traveling in endless circles with the captain stumbling on the bridge, trying to make sense of navigational charts he can't read. And again, it just goes on to play that Obama is incompetent. And he's too calculated. This is too controlled to give him the benefit of the doubt of being incompetent. We have to call it out now that he is evilly working to destroy this country.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I can't say it enough. Mexico had to open their southern border too. Okay? They had to do that. That means this was pre-planned. You don't just suddenly say, okay, it's a free-for-all down there. No. They had to organize that. You had to organize these trains in some way. This is organized crime coming against our country.
This is it's a really good article. I suggest everybody go to Washington Times, check it out. It's by Wesley Pruden. Of course, once the transformation of America is complete, there's not much of a difference between Indiana and El Salvador, or between San Francisco and Honduras. The invasions will cease. America will no longer be the stuff of dreams of the huddled masses yearning to be free. Nobody will come here because they'll be no better than the miserable places they would leave behind. We have seen the Obama future, and it doesn't work. And that's true. And 2 years ago when I was out in San Francisco, there was very little difference between it and what I saw in areas of Nassau and the Bahamas when you got away from the tourist areas. I compared it a lot to that as far as peeling paint, rundown streets, packs of wild dogs.
That's how Los Angeles is. Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's really already our big cities are becoming third world hellholes to begin with. We're kind of insulated here in the Charleston area because we have the natural beauty of the Low Country.
Well, yeah, because it's a bad economy, and you can't take care of that many people, especially when you're overflooded by illegal immigrants, and you don't have a budget. I mean, you can't do it. Doesn't work like that. Something will suffer, and a lot of times that's infrastructure when it comes to city budgets, because it's already there. So, yeah, it's in disrepair, but we can transfer some money to the welfare fund because we got more immigrants needing some extra money here. So, I mean, this is the thing. It's very sad to see this happening. New York Times came out yesterday and said, ugly for Americans against illegal immigration to wave American flags and chant USA. Can you believe this?
Well, did you see out of California last week, and then it's happening again? They tried to bring buses of the immigrants in there and into Marietta, just south of L.A. there, or near L.A. I'm not sure.
Marietta. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they tried to bring it in there, and thousands of protesters showed up and blocked the buses, literally stood in the streets saying, no, you're not getting through here. Go home.
And that's what that article was responding to, that the Times told Obama to go big, quote unquote, on executive actions because of these ruthless Americans trying to keep out the illegals.
Exactly. You bring buses here, we're going to get pirates in the street holding up signs that say, run home, Jack.
Yeah. Well, you talk about the people who were protesting the buses coming in. There was also a counter protest that popped up right after that, a pro-amnesty crowd at Marietta, and this was the crowd that is in the street literally burning the American flag. I never thought, we see that on television constantly over in Iraq and the Middle East. I never thought I would see actual Americans standing here protesting other Americans while they're burning the American flag. We talk all the time about how the next big war will be fought in the streets. We see this right here.
And, of course, they're brainwashed, the ones that are standing up supporting the amnesty. Elizabeth Thornton here, who is joining on the side of the pro-amnesty group, says, I'm not a fan of ICE, but this is a necessary step for these people to be released. We're here to counter the overwhelming racism and xenophobia we've seen here the last few days. So, again, it's racist because you don't want busloads of people who are sick. You can't talk about this because journalists are getting arrested if they talk about it. Dan Savage has a great article we're going to get to in a moment talking about the journalists being threatened and arrested for mentioning it. But these people have third world diseases. They have measles, mumps, smallpox. You name it.
Yeah, I mean,
syphilis, herpes, gonorrhea, AIDS. AIDS is coming across rampant.
And that's just the physical. I mean, not to mention the crime. I mean, a lot of these people, like we said, are gang members. They're already seeing increased crime because this has been going on. There's been a stand down going for 3 months, according to the Border Patrol president.
And again, with this whole flip to just racism thing, I'm so tired of hiding behind that card. You throw that out there and it just, you're discredited automatically. You're racist. And the people here go on in this article, the ones that are standing up, blocking the bus and say, we're not racist or bigots. We love the people on the bus. Or if you love the people on the bus, you should support us because we're stopping the government from putting them out on the streets. This is about resources, not race. And that's Cindy Klein, 55 of Long Beach, said. It's not the people. I don't know them. I can't hate them. I hate their actions that they've broken the law. Again, it's not hating the people. It's hating the actions. But we can't have that. They've changed that debate about everything.
Quite frankly, I hate a people that want to come in and destroy a country, whether it's unknowing or not. At some point, I want to start putting the blame on these people too, because how ridiculously oblivious can you be to want to go into a country looking for a quote-unquote better way of life, even though the country is collapsing around you while you're doing that?
Well,
and I understand they don't know. I get that they don't get it. But then they don't need to be making that trip up there when they don't have all of the information. How stupid can you be? And it's unfortunate for these people that they are put in a position like that. But I'm sorry. It's not our place to feel sorry for them.
Are they really stupid for coming here, though, when they're being told over and over and over again from our government, from President Obama, that you come here, you're going to get free medical, you're going to get your Obama phone? They don't realize that they're a drain on this system. All they think of is the Kardashians when they see America.
Oh, I know.
They think about excess, opulence. They think that everybody has free money to give them, that we're still in the 90s with Matthew Lesko jumping around talking about the free money. Notice the government's not giving free money to its citizens anymore. When was the last time you saw a commercial with him?
I agree that the government is advertising it and getting them to come here, and it's a bad position for them to be in. But at the same time, again, it's not my place to feel sorry that they don't take enough responsibility to understand what they're getting into before they come here.
Think about how much work it takes us to find out what's going on, though. How much they hide. You can't see it. And
yeah, but that doesn't mean you go blindly walking into another country. I mean, you don't do that. It's just not what you do. Yeah. And the thing is, like I said, I feel sorry for them to some extent. I'm not sitting here being high and mighty. No. I'm just making a point. Yeah. They are also themselves blindly walking into a situation that they don't understand. And they're being encouraged to do so. It's wrong on both sides.
I see them being led into the situation wrong. I don't think that they're doing as much as... you wouldn't see the influx. Yes, you would still see people coming here wanting to, but they're being motivated. They're being pushed. They're being driven to come here like cattle. This is an old Texas movie, cattle drive, that's basically happening, only it's humans that are being brought here.
I agree with that. And it's a tough situation. Like I said, it's a tough debate to have because you want to have at least empathy for these people. Yeah. But like I said...
occasionally cows are going to wander out of the pasture on their own, but if you get behind them with the bullwhip driving them, you're going to get the herd running through. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But for me, though, like I said, and I get that, and I do have empathy, but at the same time, it's like me, wanting to give up a part of my life to help a coke addict that can't get out of the gutter. Listen, at some point, he has to take responsibility for himself. It's not my place to make sure that these illegal immigrants have a safe haven. That's not my responsibility. That is not the responsibility of this government. No, and that's what they're doing. And they're trying to push that humanitarian crisis on the people emotionally so that we support it. It's bullcrap.
It's a fake humanitarian crisis. Yeah. It's a manufactured humanitarian crisis.
Exactly. It's a military operation, a full frontal assault on both the emotions, on both the mentality and the economy surrounding the American people. It's ridiculous. It's ugly. I can't believe it. And like I said, it's you mentioned this earlier, but this is a slap in the face that Obama he's not only making 3 trips to Texas, it's 3 fundraisers next week. He's raising money out of Texas and refusing to go to the border. Now, if anybody in Texas gives him money, what do you think about those people that are giving him money when he won't even go down to the border?
You've got all your Wendy Davis sheeple out there that are going to be so happy to have him in Texas, and they're going to line up to open their checkbooks. It's disgusting that he's still running around campaigning. He's in his second term. He can't run for office again.
Right,
and
so what's
he's
he
still
fundraising?
running around campaigning because that's all he knows how to do.
Unbelievable. Rick Perry is inviting him to the border, and obviously he's just saying no. Was it Josh Earnest came out and said, I have he's got advisors there. He's kept up to date all the time on the border. He doesn't need to go see it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter. It's not like it's an information mining event for him to go down there to find out what's going on. Of course he knows what's going on. It's a matter of showing your support to the American people who elected you.
Yeah, well, he's going to Austin, so I wonder if the InfoWars team's planning on protesting him.
We'll have to see what happens. Certainly, they should be present.
Mm-hmm.
Although I imagine they probably won't be allowed. Probably won't be allowed in. But like I said,
still hasn't stopped them at the borders or at any of the relocation camps for that. So
now,
InfoWars is doing great work on the border crisis.
Yeah. Now, Texas is putting out the Highway Patrol and the Rangers to help secure the border. So I think there's at least some efforts now going towards securing it.
Well, all we got to do is send Chuck Norris down there, and I mean, he can stop it. He can guard all 2,000 miles of it with no problems.
Man, they're just leaving the gates open. There's reports of that, too, that the patrol agents just leaving them open.
I wonder how many people, if they just had Chuck Norris standing there at the bridge crossing, would just turn around and go back. Not even risk it.
It's not worth it.
What do we got? We got a video playing here on Breitbart. This is one we talked about, too, that I wanted to get to before we get to break here. Sheila Jackson Lee, of course, we can barely go a month without something idiotic coming from her. She went down to the border because she doesn't believe the border crisis is a national security threat, despite gangsters having already been apprehended and, a lot of MS-13 and then, of course, all the diseases and pandemics. But she went down and waved a bag of lollipops out there and gave them to kids.
Oh, man. Vote for me.
Yep. Literally, that's what it was. It was a vote for me lollipop.
Oh, God. We need to. She got it right here. That video shows her with the bag of lollipops that she took down there. I took a bag just like this down there. Man. And see, that's the problem. That's what's going to happen. We're going to allow amnesty to all these people. They're going to come in here and start voting for idiots like Sheila Jackson Lee.
Well, yeah, because they're coming here to be told to vote to take your guns. That's why they're on welfare. That's why they're getting Obama phones. That's why they're getting all of their medical care. They're coming here to have free babies because they're being told, you do this, you vote Democratic, and you will keep the gravy train running.
Yeah, they're here for a free ride. I mean, like I said, that's just the other part of it that just really bums me out about humanity in general, not even Americans, but that if there is any kind of inkling of a free ride, it seems like overall society has gotten to a point where that's where we gravitate, the free ride. Nobody wants to work for anything anymore.
Well, why should you when you're being told you can't build it?
Well, exactly. Well, and not only that, you're being told you can't build it, but you're being told, what's the point? We're going to build it for you.
Tensions continue to rise tonight in Marietta over the issue of immigration.
Why buy your own contraception? Mm-hmm. We'll get it for you.
Make your boss pay for it.
Yeah.
Let's get into that when we get back here in the second hour, because that's that story and the response this week to the Hobby Lobby ruling was just that I think baffled me more than anything was people's reaction to it.
Oh, people are absolutely tore up, and it tells you 100% the effect that the media overall has on people, because most of the people who are causing such a big stir about this thing obviously have not read all of the facts of the case, or are literally just that.
You kidding? They haven't read anything. All they've listened to is what the idiot "Your Kids Aren't Yours" lady on MSNBC, Melissa Harris Perry. I was blanking for a minute on her name there. They only know what she tells them, and what she tells them is Hobby Lobby's racist and doesn't want to pay for your birth control.
Yeah, exactly. That's what the media says. Yeah. They don't want to pay for your birth control, which is not true.
No, they pay for 16 different types. They don't want to pay for your abortion.
But you've got the left-wing armies out there just absolutely falling, butt over tea kettle. Yeah. Believing that.
We got a Rob Ford story I'll get to a little bit later on, too. So, saying that he can't make any guarantees he'll stay sober. And quite honestly, with all the YouTube sound bites, do we want Rob Ford to stay sober?
I can't. I can't make any promises that I'm going to stay sober, but I'm gonna be in office. All right, we'll be back. It's the Weekend Sit and Spin.
You call me strong, you call me weak, but still your secrets I will keep. You took for granted all the times I never let you down. You stumbled in and bumped your head. If not for me, then you'd be dead. I picked you up, put you back on solid ground. If I go crazy, then will you still call me super?
That's right, you're listening to GetOutOfGuyBite.com. Stay tuned for Hot Chicks on the radio.
To be pampered is to be treated with excessive care and attention. Considering Shim Salon Spa has been named Salon of the Year by Modern Salon Magazine, you can expect that's just what you'll get. With over 20 years of experience in pampering and beautifying the Low Country, Lori and her team focus on the needs of each client. Shim Salon Spa is a full-service boutique offering the latest in color and hair artistic creations for women and men, along with the most innovative and relaxing spa experience anywhere. Relax, renew, and reinvent yourself. Located at 506 Live Oak Drive in Mount Pleasant, behind Page's Ochre Grill. Call Shim Salon Spa today at 843-656-2506. That's 656-2506. Or visit their website at shimsalonspa.com.
Do you sometimes think life was just better when I was young? Maybe you're right. You know, there has been a marked decline in girls ages 8 to 14 that participate in Girl Scouting. And today we're looking for girls who are ready to be the leaders of tomorrow. Girls in this age group are vital to Scouting. They serve as role models for younger girls and uplift the community. And ladies, we need you to be that example too. Become a volunteer, a troop leader, or just enroll your daughter in Girl Scouts today. Call 843-552-9910 to learn more.
I want to thank all the women's for listening to KineticHiFi.com.
We love it!
I know you do, baby. I know you do.
The hairs on your arm will stand up at the terror in each sip and in each sup. Will you partake of that last offered cup or disappear into the potter's ground? When the man
There's a pandemic in this country of rewarding ignorance. And that's my biggest problem with the border situation.
Did you watch Honey Boo Boo this week? I mean, what
That's
more
a
do
great
you want?
example. Yeah. That Myrtle Manor, it's ignorance on a wide scale being rewarded in this country. If you're stupid, if you're dumb, if you're a sheep, we are going to put you on a pedestal as long as you have a pretty face.
And speaking of that, I did see where the idiot from Southern Charm is running as an independent against Lindsey Graham. And again, just like with 2012 in the presidential election, we ran Mitt Romney, the only person that couldn't beat Obama. And this is the only person that's an idiot, bigger idiot than Lindsey Graham that can't beat him.
I also saw something that we're talking about Thomas Ravenel,
yeah.
Something about
this was out of Live 5 News. Let me see if I can find it.
His citizenship or something? I don't know. I saw a couple of things about him this weekend.
I don't know. He's a disgrace to the Low Country. He's a complete idiot, and I'm embarrassed that he lives in this city. To be honest, if I ever see him walking down the street, I'm going to beat him with a bar soap and a sock. He deserves that. Yeah, former state treasurer Thomas Ravenel, who resigned from his office after arrest on drug charges, says he's running as an independent for U.S. Senate, currently held by Lindsey Graham in South Carolina.
Well, I'm sure we'll vote.
He
him in because,
still must deliver 10,000 signatures from registered voters to get on the ballot, and that's got to be by July 15th. It looks like this article is put out just begging people to sign there, so I doubt he's going to get the signatures.
I hope not, because it angers me enough that Mark Sanford is still holding office in this country or in this state. So, I mean, somehow South Carolina just... I mean, I don't want to sit here and bash. I love South Carolina. But we did put someone who cheated on his wife and skipped off to Argentina with taxpayer dollars back into office. So what's going to stop us from putting this idiot in office? But again, here you go. Ignorance, right? This guy's an idiot. You've seen him on Southern Charm. I did see enough of it to get a glimpse of who this person is, and is not somebody that I want to support in any way whatsoever. I don't think he represents at all this city. And it saddens me that we've put him in a position to do so.
Well, there's a lot of comments here on Live 5 that's saying he can't run because he's a convicted felon. So looks like it's all a publicity stunt, and hopefully not. Like I said, he's the one person that can't beat Lindsey Graham. Hey, why don't we do something with somebody that could actually beat him? Why don't we take Paul Roof? I did say he got a job. I did want to mention this because we talked about it. He did get a job at College of Charleston. They offered him a position, so he's teaching there. Why don't we take Paul Roof from the CSU stand with the beer cans, and why don't we put him on the ballot against it? A professor of sociology, actually, has ran the Holy City Beard and Mustache Championship for the last 6 years. He's got his business. He would be a good candidate to run against.
Sure, he represents the people.
Yeah.
That's what these politicians are supposed to do, but they've become career politicians working towards giving themselves... Listen, you can look at the stats. They all come out of office richer. Yeah. Forget what Hillary Clinton said. They all make money while they're in office. That's the whole point of going into office. Why else would you spend that kind of money on campaigns? Like, that should tell you right there. You've got presidents running for office and spending $1 billion. Why would they do that? To make the country better? Heck no. They're doing it to benefit themselves, to make money, to solidify themselves in the future world before, the elites destroy the rest of us off. They want to get their slate, So they spend $1 billion, try to get into office.
Oh, yeah, we got another technocratic article that I wanted to get to today talking about humans are not going to be the dominant species in 50 years because of computers. It'll be the dominant species.
That's the Matrix. And it's like I said, it's almost obvious. Maybe it's because you grow up reading so much science fiction and a lot of that's predictive programming. Maybe it's just because it's a logical path, but you allow computers and robots to do more for you and to take over more of you, and become more lazy, and eventually, you see it in all these Twilight Zone movies and episodes and everything else. I mean, it's the same story. People get lazy because they let the computers do it for them, and eventually they take over. So, 50 years, you say?
I have to look up the article. I did want to mention it. I think it was about 2045, so not even 50 years. We're talking about 30 years. Yeah, I'll have to look up that article again.
Well, they're already trying to pull out self-driving cars. We've got a bunch of smart technology surveilling us all the time.
Yeah, it's by 2045. Top species will no longer be human. It's on the right-hand column of Drudge.
Oh, okay. Well.
Yeah, Mercedes, I saw this week's doing a big push for self-driving vehicles.
Well, it's going to be the next thing. And like I said, that's another part of this big corporate takeover, corporate fascism that's happening that we see, because... Why push self-driving cars other than being able to... I mean, you hear about the gas tax coming out where they're charging you for how much you're driving.
Which we've said's been coming, along with the little progressive snapshot boxes that's tracking you everywhere. That's going to be a mileage tracker that's going to charge you per mile.
But it's a good question to ask, though. Other than avoiding DUIs, what's the reason for self-driving cars? I mean, it's taking away individuality and freedom. That's one thing.
Because it makes it safe to text and drive.
Yeah. That really is what it is, though. It makes it safe to not pay attention while you're driving.
I mean, in Wally and Axiom, they had the self-driving, motorized carts they were in.
Yeah.
Help you at Walmart.
Which is what these are going to be. They're the little bee cars, like from the Bee Movie. That was a scene from the Bee Movie where Matthew Broderick is voicing one of the characters of Jerry Seinfeld, and they show an upper view of the traffic, and everything is very, very articulated, very robotic, as far as all the bees traveling around their little bee cars. And he says, "Have you ever wondered how the traffic works so well here?" He's like, "Well, I guess everybody just knows exactly what to do." And so here we go.
That's rule number 7 of Bayall traffic laws?
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Rule number 8, listen to popular music.
Yeah. So this is the socialist corporate fascist dream where you don't get to even decide where you go. You just have a car that you get in and it takes you there. So when we get back from this break into hour number 2, we want to go over this Hobby Lobby ordeal because it's a major ruling. Okay, number 1, this is huge.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, bro. Man, I've been building the models all week.
Dexter.
Do want to get a quick plug in before we get to the break here. 2 weeks from today, the 18th or 19th, excuse me, we will be at South of Broadway. The Charleston Improbables return to South of Broadway. We do have the new poster up. It is a Lego poster, so it's pretty awesome. But,
oh my gosh, I love this song.
We'll be out there 19th. Looking forward to that night. Should be a fun night of improv.
That's right. So make sure to check that out. We'll go over this ruling next because it's huge. The Supreme Court standing up for liberty.
Always use a turn signal.
That's major. People saying it's racist. Corporations don't have a First Amendment right because they're not individuals. I get that argument to some degree, but like we were saying, you're blanketing corporations where they've become a sin. A regional corporation, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just individuals coming together as a corporation. So I want to talk about that, how this affects, in general, further legislation for companies. And I want to debunk the argument that they're not providing proper health care. So we'll talk about that next. Hour number 2, the rush hour, coming up next after this break here. You are listening to The Weekend Sit and Spin, KineticHiFi.com. And we'll be right back. Stick around.
Cheese floats! Come on, everybody!
Look at that, Roger.
Coming at you.
Can I get a couple LARPs over here?
Thanks, Gail.
Hey, guys, watch me throw this down.
Everything is cool when you're part of a team. Everything is awesome.
Have you heard the news? Everyone's talking. Life is good because everything's awesome.
Man, I feel so good right
We got talk shows. We got sunglasses. We got music. We got fake Rolexes. KineticHiFi.com. Keep it locked in, honey butter.
For America's wounded warriors, sometimes coming home can be a battle in itself. Every one of them needs our support to meet the challenges they face every day. The USO provides Americans a way to offer that support to our wounded warriors and their families. Join us. Visit USO.org to learn how you can make a difference in their lives. The USO, until everyone comes home.
It's a fact. Nearly 80% of us will have back pain at some point in our lives. And for some of us, it can be debilitating. If you live in the Charleston, South Carolina area and have any kind of back issue, Peninsula Chiropractic is your answer. Peninsula Chiropractic has a reputation built on great customer service and the results most chiropractors can't deliver. One patient and local firefighter says, I have been a patient with Peninsula Chiropractic for nearly 10 years. Dr. Ty and Dr. Rob have treated me with the utmost skill, respect, and kindness as a person and a patient. I feel extremely confident with their skills and have recommended Peninsula Chiropractic to numerous people, not to mention the relaxed atmosphere and genuine caring staff that is Peninsula Chiropractic. Don't spend another day in pain. Call Peninsula Chiropractic today at 843-723-6475. That's 723-6475. Or visit the office, conveniently located within the Sergeant Jasper Building downtown at 310 Broad Street, number 2, Charleston, South Carolina.
Every day is a lovely day. Your Kinetic Hi-Fi, yeah. That's right, baby. You're listening to KineticHiFi.com. It's smooth.
It's so good. Love is so
Choose a ready guide in some celestial voice. If you choose not to decide,
Kick In, Sit and Spin. It's a great song, Choose Free Will. I was watching the other day a documentary called The Fall of the Republic, which was really going over corporate America and how the illusion of choice that exists in this country.
Yeah, that was made in, 2004, I think? That's one of Alex Jones's old ones.
And I'll tell you what,
really good.
It really has become extremely relevant recently, but it's something to really think about, that you, on every corner, you have McDonald's, Burger King, you have Lowe's, Home Depot, you have CVS, Walgreens, you have... It's the duality
Walmart,
in America.
GameStop. Yeah,
it's illusion of choice. But it's not really choice. They're all owned by the same big corporations.
You can go 1,000 miles in any direction in this country. Well, we can't go east because we don't have 1,000 miles east, but you can go 1,000 miles in any direction in this country, and you're going to run into the same thing. You know, you're going to run into a Chili's in front of a Walmart with a GameStop there. You know, it's same shopping centers all across the country.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you were talking about them buying up the land and how corporations are really have a big part to do with land grab. That really brings into question the pre-planning of like CVS and Walgreens. Every corner there's a CVS, the opposite corner has a Walgreens. So they've dominated that entire intersection now. I mean, it really just does open up a whole world of what's going on there.
And moving on to, I wanted to mention this because this is something we've talked about all day today, in the first hour at least. This is a poll coming out of CBS Connecticut. Has the current flood of immigrants from Central America been prearranged by the administration, meaning the Obama administration? And the choices that you can choose from are absolutely it's been in the works for months, or no, the refugees are fleeing poverty and gang violence endemic to Central America. 86% of the people who have taken this poll have said absolutely it's been in the works. I mean, people, I think, are starting to see through this. Yesterday, I went out to North Charleston to their fireworks display and 4th of July event last night out there at Waterfront Park. Very nice in the Naval Yards. Some weird stuff in the Naval Yards, but very nice park there. And I heard people around me during the bands that were playing talking about Obamacare limiting their hours to 29 hours a week and you know, destroying jobs. And the new jobs report that came out saying, yay, we created all these jobs, but they're really just 25-hour-a-week part-time jobs that aren't paying the bills.
Yep, exactly.
And you know, the unemployment numbers, how it's being falsified because of that. You know, people are starting to wake up. People are starting to hear it. They're listening to this show. They're listening to the Alex Jones show. You know, they're watching David Icke videos, reading Drudge Report, and people are starting to wake up to what's going on.
If that's what it's going to take, people are going to have to start getting upset about the fact that they only have 28 hours a week. Because the squeaky wheel, what's the saying?
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Gets the grease, right. So, you know, it's the same situation here in America. The reason we are falling under this tyranny is because everybody's asleep and isn't saying anything about it. You know, and I'm not saying if your job cuts your hours, if you go start complaining to your boss all week that you're suddenly going to get your hours. That's not my point. I'm talking about in general, we have to start understanding what's happening and speaking out against it, because it is a total takeover of the economy, a total collapse of the economy. And while your direct boss at wherever you're working may not be able to immediately influence, if you start educating people in the job place, maybe they would take a little more pride in their job, and we can start getting back to work as Americans.
They have taken the hearts and minds of our leaders. They have recruited the rich and the powerful, and they have blinded us to the truth. And our human spirit is corrupted. Why do we worship greed? Because outside the limit of our sight, feeding off us, perched on top of us from birth to death, are our owners. Our owners. They have us. They control us. They are our masters. Wake up. They're all about you, all around you.
You know, this movie becomes more and more relevant every year as we fall into tyranny. And you see people literally doing like the people that were asleep and they live. They're just watching their TV, going about their business. You know, like the humans in there. People are wanting to sell out.
How long do you think, let's say Obama was president in 1810. How long do you think after he was first elected, let's say that this year was his first year in 1810. Random numbers. How long would it take for him to be impeached in that America?
He wouldn't have been impeached. He would have been assassinated, I hate to say. Look, Alexander Hamilton wanted to sell us out to big bankers at the start of this country. And look what happened. William Burr shot him.
And look at how difficult and how long and how arduous of a process it is to even get people to understand that what he's doing is treasonous.
Oh, yeah.
Today, I mean.
And the new talking head, Carney 2.0, what's his name? Josh Earnest.
Josh Earnest. Yeah.
Coming out after the Hobby Lobby thing going, well, the constitutional lawyer in the Oval Office doesn't think this is constitutional what the Supreme Court did. And the man who's disregarded the Constitution for all 6 years he's been in office.
He's a constitutional lawyer, so he knows how to get around it. Notice how what he always says is
but
that
he doesn't even do a good job getting around it.
I know, but it's what he's always saying. I've got my advisors working on ways that we can get around Congress. That's what he says in almost every single speech.
Well, yeah, he always says, I'd be able to get so much done if it wasn't for the system of Congress and got to go through them.
If they weren't trying to check and balance my executive power, maybe I could rule this country. Which that's really what it's after. I don't even know if Obama has interest in being the king of this country. He has interest in pushing the agenda and turning the office into a dictatorial position. I mean, he has literally completely rejected any inclination of being a cool person that he was when he first went into office. He was trying to win over the public opinion. Now it just seems like he doesn't care. He's like, whatever. Well, I'm going to do it. You guys can like it or not. He's got his audience, his studio audience that he takes around with him that you heard laughing earlier.
Yeah, he's insulated in his own little bubble of Saul Alinsky following radicals that think they're doing the right thing here by taking away all of our freedoms, that view the average population as something they have to control, is unable to take care of themselves, and he's so ingrained to that and so indoctrinated into that he honestly feels like it's the best.
Unbelievable that Josh Earnest has just fallen right into that role. But I did want to bring up this Hobby Lobby ruling that came out. It was a 5-4 ruling in favor of Hobby Lobby. At least the lawsuit, which I think was started back in 2012. I mean, talk about how long it takes people to realize what's going on. This is a good example right here that they had to drag through the Supreme Court for 2 years to basically be able to not have to support the abortion pill. And that's truly what this is. Because, by the way, all right, hold on. There are several overarching themes going into the Hobby Lobby case. One of those is Obamacare, which is something that you're not hearing about anymore because the media has spun it away from being about Obamacare at all. But Obamacare has put these mandates and these insurance regulations on companies now, which is something we were talking about when it first happened, that it was starting to shut a lot of small businesses down because they couldn't afford the new insurance regulations. They couldn't afford to cover or pay for all the new coverages that were being required by Obamacare. So here in this situation, we have 20 forms of contraceptions that are supposed to be offered by companies under this Obamacare regulation. Hobby Lobby chose not to, or decided they didn't want to cover 4 out of those 20, meaning there are 16 other forms of contraception which are still offered by Hobby Lobby's insurance for its employees, is being offered, was being offered, has been being offered. So their employees do have access to contraception under their company insurance. It's baloney that they don't.
It's all of the forms that can kill a fertilized
destroy
embryo,
the fetus.
Yeah, is the ones that they don't support.
Which are 4.
Yeah, it's abortion they're not supporting.
And it's the Plan B pill, which I think we talked about this a few weeks ago, that they've come out with the commercials
IUDs,
for it. They've got the new commercials in England and all about, it's the happy-go-lucky egg bouncing around, and it's the Plan B abortion bill. That's what they're not wanting to support. So people want to turn this into a debate about contraception and companies offering proper care. That's when I put up my post on Facebook about this ruling and how I was in favor of the ruling. I was celebrating the idea. The very first comments against it that I had were about the fact that I'm celebrating that they're not offering proper care to their people and how much of a bigot I am for that.
That's the first thing the White House came out saying is women's health will be jeopardized by this. Women's health. And then you see all the people that come out. Birth control is not just about birth control. It's about regulating women that have emotional issues, or I take birth control for PTSD or whatever other reason they're wanting to say for it. No, birth control's there to keep you from getting pregnant. That's what it's put there for. That's what it's used for.
Right. And they still have access to it. If you want an abortion, go pay for it then, okay?
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you want birth control, pay for it yourself.
And see, now this brings up the other side of the argument, because the first part of it that I wanted to debunk was that they're not offering proper care. They are. There's 16 forms of contraception offered under their insurance, so that's baloney. The second part of this is that there's this huge uprising in America for part-time jobs, mostly out of the fast food sector, where people are trying to unionize and demanding $15 an hour to work part-time jobs. Hobby Lobby pays $14 an hour to its employees, most of which are probably part-time. It's a retail store. $14 an hour, Drew. You can't make that practically anywhere in this country right now.
Yeah, and this is so disgusting, the language that the White House and these Democrats are using for this. I mean, Josh Earnest said Monday that women should make personal health decisions for themselves. They still are making the decisions for themselves.
It's crazy.
You make your own decision with this. It's not your It's not your company making the decision for you. And even a friend of mine, a fellow comedian who's ideologically 180 from me on pretty much everything, but a good friend of mine put on Facebook the other day that out of all these corporations, it's only a small percentage that are closely held and have these religious views that aren't going to pay for these birth controls. If it's that big of a deal for you, go work for another company.
Exactly. That's my point. That's what I keep saying. Look, if you're not happy with the insurance, go get another job.
My point is no company should be paying for this. If you want your birth control, pay for it your damn self. I hate to get that graphic and use foul language like that, but that's the case for it. It calls for it. It's time to get extreme and say that.
That's the other thing. It is a benefit to the employee. The company doesn't have to offer insurance if they don't want to. There's companies out there that don't give insurance to their employees. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's a benefit to the employee that they offer it. They are losing money on it. It's not part of their profit. Companies lose money to offer insurance to their employees. Maybe not overall, but it is a loss.
And go ahead.
No, I mean, it amazes me how people, how they take something and make it seem like, it's basically like a child being ungrateful. Like you hand them a cookie and they say, I wanted an Oreo.
And can we also remember that this administration is so loving and caring that they burn aborted babies to power hospitals in Oregon? We've got that reported. It's on record. In Oregon, they're powering hospitals with aborted babies. Coal is bad. We got to shut down coal power plants. Get those damn Koch brothers out. We got to stop them. They donate to Republicans. We got to put them out of business. But let's use aborted fetuses to power our hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Happening in England as well.
And again, sorry about the language, but it's time to get extreme.
Well, the whole point
is you'll get extreme for Mountain Dew, but you won't get extreme for liberty. What is wrong with society?
Well, no, they're trying to come after Hobby Lobby when Hobby Lobby is actually taking a stand. The thing is, nobody wants to take a stand anymore. They want to just put it off on everything's racist and we can't have a position.
And Hobby Lobby called their bluff. They said, okay, if you rule against us, we'll just shut down.
Yeah,
I mean, the family was like, I hate to put these people out of business, but we have our money. We're fine. We'll shut the business down before we'll jeopardize our morals.
Yeah.
And you see other companies do that time and time again.
And that's what needs to happen in this country. Nobody wants to take a stand anymore. That's why Obama's allowed to get away with pushing everything as a racist or a sexist agenda.
Exactly. We need to turn our back to these occultist corporations that are running the world, and we need to support small, independent, God-fearing mom-and-pops corporations. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even have to be small business. It can be corporations. corporations. It can be things as long as they're regional. That's my thing, is regional is the way to go, not international. These global corporations, they're all sold out. They're all occultist. That's why you see in their corporate logos CERN with the big particle collider in Switzerland, France. They're on the border. CERN, their corporate logo is 666.
Oh, God. You should have heard the people coming after me when I made a mention that this was Hobby Lobby standing up for their First Amendment rights, because they're saying the Constitution protects individuals, not wealthy corporations.
It's the individuals that run the corporations,
right?
And they can see fit to run their corporation. We've got away from this whole.
It's amazing to me that people say something like that.
When did the concept of your right to refuse service? When did that fully go away? Because when I was growing up, I remember that places used to have signs up: "We reserve the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason." Now you can't do that for any reason.
No, because it's racist,
sexist, homophobic, you name it.
Mm-hmm. And it's almost as if that's what all of these agendas really are on a larger scale meant to do, is just basically tear it down to where it's socialism, Drew. Mm-hmm. You can't refuse service to anybody. Everybody gets everything for free.
Yep, because everything is awesome.
All right, so I want to talk about how this is the real war on women next, because they want to make it about a war on women, that Hobby Lobby isn't offering the abortion pill, which is crazy. But there is a war on women. There's a war on men. There's a war on the sexes going on in this country in general, but also the American people.
Of course it's a war on women. Didn't you see Monica Lewinsky was so traumatized by the media? She was a virgin to humiliation.
Yeah,
I don't think she was a virgin to anything, and there's a cigar to prove it.
Also, U.S. dollar. There is an anti-dollar alliance being formed. China and North Korea helping set that up. Another economist saying we need a major war to save the economy. So we'll talk about a little bit of economic news as well.
Yeah, because selling Bell helicopters and getting GE defense money is going to save the economy.
We got to borrow more money from China to do it.
Well, we're going to war with China.
Yeah, so we'll talk about all that next. It's the Weekend Sit and Spin. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Kinetic Hi-Fi in Charleston, Samalama.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, hey.
Hey, why is the computer so slow?
Internet connection?
It can't be the internet connection. We pay like $300 a month for that.
Holy chestnut.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, I know.
Yeah.
So it must be. Let's look around here for a second.
All right.
Yeah. You know what?
What?
Where's this wire go?
That wire?
That wire.
I don't know. It looks new.
It does kind of look new, but then there's like 18 wires down there. Let's try plugging it in over here. What do you say?
No, not there. No, right here.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Are you sure, Tom?
Positive. Plug it in.
All right, let's try that out.
Okay.
Don't be that guy. Instead, put your trust in ITSimplified.com. Cloud computing, data center servers, network management, Web 2.0, SQL, scalable architectures, programming, tech infrastructure, security, and anything else you shouldn't bother trying to figure out. Call 843-376-1991. That's 843-376-1991. ITSimplified.com. That's IT-simplified.com. Solutions simplified.
Well, hey, this is Scott Mann from Wave 104.1 in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And even though you probably don't know who the hell I am, you should know who Brian T. Shirley is. You like to laugh? Of course you do. That's why you're a comedy fan. Well, head down to your favorite bookstore or just go to that store's website and order the comedy books Make Love Not Warts and 407 Beers Ago by comedian Brian T. Shirley. Brian's written 2 books full of crazy proverbs and silly sayings that are available worldwide for ebook downloads or in paperback. You can even get a signed copy by going to Brian's website at briantshirley.webs.com.
Do you like chocolate milk? Well, if you like sweet but nutritious, you found the right place. KineticHiFi.com.
Welcome back. The Weekend Sit and Spin here at KineticHiFi.com, the KineticHiFi.com studios. Remembering once again, we're about halfway through the show, so I just want to say one more time that we do miss Brad Cooper this morning. I think more and more thoughts of him passing through our minds. So, Brad, you're in our thoughts. Okay, here's what we want to talk about here, because, again, they're spinning this whole situation with Hobby Lobby as a war on women. It's all about sexism. It's all about racism. You can't live your life because somehow you're being a criminal by doing so. If you think bad thoughts about people, if you don't want to let illegal immigrants into this country, if you don't like the fact that we're running drugs into the Middle East or out of the Middle East and running weapons into Mexico and South America to cause this illegal immigration influx, you're a racist against the black president. This is what it is. So the Hobby Lobby thing is a war on women, at least the media would have you believe. And like I said, it's total baloney because they still do offer contraception. And again, I don't have a problem with contraception. I'm not against it. I'm against abortion. I'm against extortion of companies by the federal government to offer abortion to their employees. And that's really what it is, Drew.
Exactly.
It's extortion.
You want an abortion, pay for it yourself. It's
Exactly.
an easy concept. I don't understand why people can't get that through their heads. But everybody believes that you should have free abortions, and I don't understand where that comes from. There's nothing in this world that's free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. There's no such thing as a free ride. Get over it.
Exactly. You know, when I was growing up, the church that I attended, there was a gentleman, really great guy, who was very, very adamantly and active in the fight against abortion. He would always go to the rallies, and he would make special speeches at church and stuff about it all the time. And growing up, like at the time, obviously as a kid, I wasn't really awake necessarily to how much of an epidemic it really is here in this country and in the world in general. And I'd hear him talk, and obviously I would think, yes, abortion's bad. I would be against it morally, but when he would talk, I would think, wow, is it really that big a deal? You get older and you realize, yeah, it really is. There is an agenda to kill off babies in this country.
Yeah, and when you look at the fact that 52% of black pregnancies end in abortion now, it truly is a genocide.
Absolutely. Now, that being said, there's an article in Breitbart that is titled War on Women, Record Number Not in the Labor Force in June. This is the real war on women. It says right here, while Democrats and the abortion industry would have women believe the most important reason to have a job is to get birth control for free, which is what they're trying to spin, the real war on women is the fact that a record number of them were not working at all in June.
And remember how many groups said the main reason to get Obamacare was for your abortions or for your contraceptive pills. Remember we had all those print ads out of Colorado with, I hope he's as easy to get as my abortion pill was. Thanks, Obamacare.
You know, those really do take on a different light now, don't they? I remember when those came out because they were so striking that it was basically teenagers sitting there on these ads promoting the idea of promiscuous sex. You know, and again, talking about breaking down the family unit, that's really what this is. You are taking women out of the workplace to activate against a cause for free abortion. How backwards is that? How unproductive or counterproductive is that? I just want to give this data. According to the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the number of women 16 and older not in the labor force rose to a record high of 55,299,000 people in June. That's from CNS News. This means that there were 55,299,000 women 16 and older who did not only have a job, they did not actively seek one in the last 4 weeks. That's up 282,000 people from May. So that's a 56.8% jump. Month to month. Hundreds of thousands of people are dropping out of the workforce because of lack of motivation, because they just see the inevitable collapse of the economy, or maybe because they're just being encouraged by the federal government to get on welfare because all the illegal immigrants are doing it. They're getting free health care. They're getting free abortions and free child care and all this. Why shouldn't the American people get that? And quite frankly, I obviously I don't agree with that, but you can't hardly blame them when they're handing out free underwear and free housing and free trips and free education, Drew. They're giving out free in-state tuition and sometimes free college education.
And that's the BS thing about this is that illegals are getting in-state tuition no matter what state they go to.
Yep.
And that is messed up. Again, we're giving free underwear, we're giving health screenings, we're giving all this to the illegals when they get here, but our vets are dying on waiting lists.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of the vets first.
Yes.
Honor your commitments to your citizens first. That's the one thing Rome at least did right as it was collapsing, is it kept its citizens held in high regard.
Not here, and you're not joking. When they get in this country, that's why they're turning themselves over immediately to ICE. A lot of them are sick and have problems. It's like Elysium, where I don't know if you saw it, but they take off in the ships up to the orbiting Elysium, and they break in and and the first thing they do is try to get into a house to heal themselves because they have the beds that heal themselves or whatever in Elysium. That's why they're going there, to try to get the free health care.
Exactly. That's why he's going there, is because of the radiation.
It's amazing to think about how much of predictive programming that movie was.
And we
now
talked
that this
about
is
it
happening.
last year when it came out, how it was. It was the pro-amnesty movie, and that's what it was.
It's happening
it
right
took
here.
That turn.
They come in, they turn themselves over to ICE agents so they can get the free health screening, but also the immediate health care. They give them the vaccines or the medication or whatever they need, the surgeries or whatever. Maybe not immediate surgeries, but the point is, if they have an immediate situation health-wise, they are getting that medical attention immediately. That's another thing, however, that is being covered up by the administration, and we alluded to this, but is the diseases coming across the border as well.
Oh, exactly, and you can't talk about that because if you do, you're threatened to be put in jail if you're a reporter.
Oh yeah, they're threatening to put the ranchers in jail. Don't
like it. Yeah,
the smugglers that are coming across are threatening to kill the ranchers as they're coming across their land. It's not their land though; it's the federal government's land, and they say that the unaccompanied children are allowed in this country. So there you go. They can't say anything against it. It's unbelievable.
And the Supreme Court had another great decision this week, too, not only with the Hobby Lobby one, but did you also see that public unions can't make non-members pay fees? They ruled that you can't mandatory take union fees out of paychecks and stuff. So that was a great blow against unions. Again, unions were great when they came about in the turn of the century, in the 1900s. We don't need them now. They've outgrown their purpose. You no longer have children working in dangerous environments. Now what you have is unions sitting there fighting to get people $20 an hour for doing nothing.
Exactly.
And getting them 6 weeks of paid vacation each year and health care for the rest of their lives.
And that's a big scare for people who don't really know how unions work. That's a big scare for a lot of manufacturing companies, especially here in the South where we don't have established unions like they do as much in the North. But the fact that you can, until this ruling, but you could get a majority vote, and the union's there, and you had to pay. Okay, so let's say a union comes into your workplace, and all your buddies at work decide to unionize, and you don't. Well, it doesn't matter. The majority just voted you in, and now you had to pay the fees. Which, again, in some situations, a union can be applicable, but like you're saying, not necessarily here, because we don't have the suicide nets outside of our jobs and extremely long working hours and this kind of. We don't have that situation.
And the problem
here.
is, it's the unions that are bringing the suicide nets in now. It's the unions that are bringing the forced abortions in. It's the unions that are bringing the Foxconn style factories to America.
Mm-hmm. And so what a union does, ladies and gentlemen, is guarantees you're paying to have a guaranteed pay raise, which means you don't have to perform. You are already guaranteed in most situations, okay? In most situations for good companies, all right? Let me not make a blanket statement. But you're already guaranteed a pay raise if you perform well for most companies. For example, my company, if I do what I'm supposed to do every year and perform above and beyond or whatever, I get a raise. Everybody does. It's not much, but you have that performance raise built in to the company. A lot of places do that. Unions get rid of that. Unions make it possible for you to basically underperform consistently and still get a raise. That's why a lot of welfare heads and lazy people like unions in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And unions also, another important point to make, they work very differently overseas. Okay? We do not operate under the same system of understanding for unions as they do overseas. Overseas, it's a whole different thing. They're part of the governments. The companies are. It's just different, okay? Here, you have a free market where people perform, and we should pay people based on performance because that's what our system, our economy has been set up to do. So it saddens me to see people literally fighting to get a union in because they're going to end up giving part of their paycheck basically to make sure they don't have to do anything. Look at the post office. It was almost a joke when I was growing up, but every time you'd walk into a post office, they would be just about to take a break. You'd walk up to the window, time to take a break. And then suddenly there was 2 people at the counter, now there's only 1, and a huge line forms. Mm-hmm. You hate going into the post office because it's like that. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And now stores are becoming like that.
Yeah.
Too, you're seeing, particularly convenience stores. You're all the time waiting in there for a long time. I keep talking about getting stuck at Food Line for 45 minutes behind people using 4 different WIC checks.
Absolutely. So that's what a union would do. Okay, they come in, they guarantee a raise so that eventually, because the companies can't fire their employees because they're underperforming, because they have to constantly pay all of those employees more money and have to hire a certain number of people every year. That's the regulations that unions put on companies. It's like the federal government getting involved in the insurance industry. It puts more regulations that aren't necessarily affordable by that company. They're not good business propositions, or there's no business model for having that kind of environment in your facility. Eventually, you go out of business, like the post office. The federal government keeps having to bail them out because the union says they have to keep paying their employees more and more money. They have to make all these payments to these 401ks for all of their employees that have even retired. It's like the military, but it's the post office. We barely even use the post office anymore, which is sad in its own right. But that's what unions do. So I don't even know how we got off into this rant about unions, but they really just kind of burned me up. That people are so oblivious to the fact that performance evaluations are a good thing for the economy in general.
Well, we can't have performance evaluations, Nick, because that's that's a way of judging somebody, whether they're good or bad, and you can't have that. Everybody's good. Everybody gets a gold star. Everybody gets a trophy.
Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, the economy is really having a tough time, and it's not going to get better. Because now we're flooding the country with illegal aliens that, quite frankly, I don't see potential for getting them out of the country. You know, legislation is taking a long time to do anything. Really what they should be doing is impeaching the president and putting someone who's in place who's willing to stand up and defend this country. That's what they should be doing. But they're not doing that. They're just fake debating over the amnesty issue, which John Boehner's already said they're not going to vote on it this year. So when Obama makes his point that Congress is taking too long, they are actually taking too long, but what they should be doing is getting Obama out of office. They're giving Obama the opportunity to make his executive actions and put those executive actions in place.
Well, and again, it goes back to the fact that John Boehner plays golf with Obama twice a week.
Exactly.
Do you really think that there's...
They're stalling.
Do you think that there's any kind of animosity here? No, they're both on the same page. We've been corrupted. We've been hijacked. The office of the presidency's been taken over by global corporations. I mean, look no further than the 2004 election where both Bush and Kerry were members of Skull and Bones. Either way, the elitist won. The globalist won. You know, we had 8 years of rule from Aleister Crowley's grandson. Look it up. I'm completely convinced that Barbara Bush's dad was Aleister Crowley. And George W. Bush was Aleister Crowley's grandson. He was completely demonic in that sense because of sex magic rituals from Aleister Crowley. And Jay-Z spreading the "do what thou willst," and that's Obama spreading that. That's really the whole thing about paying for birth control is just more this "do what thou wilt" attitude of Aleister Crowley that's taken over.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I was saying, especially when I commented on the Hobby Lobby thing. My original post was just the fact that our society has really gone to this idea of do what you want because the feds are going to take care of you, when really it should be take care of yourself because they don't give a crap about you.
Yeah, exactly. And Senator Dick Durbin came out this week and said that Obama will borrow the power needed to solve the problems of immigration since Congress won't vote on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
He's got a pen, he's got a phone, and he's going to do that.
It's like we were touching on at the beginning of the show. It's the illusion of choice that's being given here between the Republicans and the Democrats, and that's why they demonize the Tea Party so much. We really should have more parties. We should have a bunch of parties that represent all of the interests of the people. Instead, we have two. And other ones are demonized because those are the two that are on the same page, run by the same people. It's an illusion of choice. And like I said, it really is the Congress is taking a long time to make decisions. Obama's not incorrect in making that particular statement. But what I'm starting to think is that it's an illusion of time, because really what they're doing is just stalling so that Obama has the time to get together the workarounds through his advisors, figure out the best legal way to do it. I mean, maybe Congress isn't telling him how to work around it, but they're offering him the time to do it so that he can put executive actions in place and further the agenda of settling this country into tyranny.
Oh yeah, this is like Star Wars Episode 3 here, where the Emperor takes power. This is what we're seeing out of Obama. He's saying, if you're not going to work with me, if you're going to stand in my way, I'm just going to take the power.
Which is so far from the American ideal, it's not even funny. But that's what's happening in this country. Now, I want to get into this topic of the economy. Because...
And the dead eye of Barium has been...
And, that's what it is. I want to get real quick, Nick, and then we'll get into that. But, if you're wearing a Gadsden flag shirt, if, you're a Christian, conservative, libertarian gun owner, you're a Jedi.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how the economy was in Tatooine at this time.
Well, Jabba was running a tight planet.
I wonder how much poverty was going on this planet all around the Senate.
But I assure you, my resolve has never been stronger. In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
Safer and secure society. It's amazing. I mean, it's not just science fiction.
Yeah.
It's just a perception of the reality. And like I said,
he's going to borrow the power. He's going to set himself up as dictator.
This is all having a direct effect on our economy. We base our economy off of derivatives. I mean, think about it. America is a social experiment by the rest of the world, pretty much, where it's almost as if the rest of the world is waiting on us to fail. They've been waiting for 200 years. It's like the prodigal son almost, where it's like, all right, go have some fun, and then we're going to rein you back in. And that's what we're allowing to happen. Our founding fathers got away from the tyranny of Europe and the Eastern world to come here and prosper, and we did that. And these globalists are saying, okay, you've had your fun, now we're going to bring you back in. And we're going to let them do it. We're just sitting back and letting them bring us right back in. This is the British Empire, taking back control. And look how easy it is for them to do it, because we have turned over our economy to derivative money and the Federal Reserve, which is a private bank offshore. I mean, all they have to do is pull the plug. And part of that plug comes from the currency itself. They stop using the dollar. What the heck are we going to do? We've got nothing to back it up on. We've shipped all our manufacturing overseas. So the only thing we have to stand on is the fact that other countries still trade the dollar. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be there anymore, not to mention the fact that those other countries, China, for example, are buying up our debt. And for me, that's a very scary reality. Because we see how they are legitimately just trying to, on purpose, destroy the country physically, but also economically. And that's coming internally from the federal government. So what's going to happen when the rest of the countries just say, all right, that's it, we're done? Are we going to be able to defend ourselves economically, financially, against all-out collapse? I don't know. And that's a scary fact for me. There is one thing that is helping the economy, and you don't hear a lot about this, but the fact that we have now been seen as the biggest oil producer after overtaking Saudi Arabia. Did you see this? This is coming from the shale oil fracking and so on. But U.S. production of crude oil, along with liquids separated from natural gas, surpassed all other countries this year, with daily output exceeding 11 million barrels in the first quarter. Bank said in a report today the country became the world's largest natural gas producer in 2010. The International Energy Agency said in June that the U.S. was the biggest producer of oil and natural gas liquids. Now, that begs the question of why we're so interested in overtaking the supply of natural gas in Syria when we have it here. But anyway, the point of this is that this article goes on to say, if it was not for the fact that we are number one right now in oil production because of the shale oil situation, we would not be able to afford the gas prices at the pump, is what they're saying. Because obviously it would all be based on importing fuel.
And that's where the ISIS attacks and everything's raising the prices.
Right.
So we are, because we're able to use more of our natural gas, it is helping us here, or else we would be in a complete total collapse right now.
And they're saying that U.S. oil output was surged to 13.1 million barrels a day in 2019 and plateau thereafter. The country will lose its top producer ranking at the start of the 2030s. So they're saying that we're going to stay number one producer for the rest of the year and for years to come here. With that going on, Drew, how much of a fraud is it that we're starting another war on the Middle East, and the fact that we are producing this much oil and the gas prices are that high?
We have to stay in a constant state of war for this military-industrial complex. Last night out at the memorial there in Waterfront Park in North Charleston at the Naval Yards, they had a memorial talking about all the ships that were built in the Charleston Naval Yards and everything until it was closed down in '96 after the Cold War ended. Budget cuts, they closed the Naval Yard because of that. And I got to looking at that. The Cold War supposedly ended in '96.
Supposedly.
And by 2001, we were in the War on Terror.
Yeah.
Which is another Cold War. Mm-hmm. It's not going to end. We had, 5 years of peace there where it was budget cut after budget cut after budget cut, and then you wonder why we jump into a war on terror?
Yeah, and like I said, so many people made money off of 9/11, which had nothing to do with Iraq.
No.
And yet that's where we bombed.
Yeah, we went into Iraq, but the hijackers came from Saudi Arabia. But we're not going to attack Saudi Arabia. They're our allies over there, supposedly. Yeah. They're the ones we're turning over the Middle East to. That's the 10 kingdoms. They get the Middle East kingdom. Yeah.
I mean, it's scary what's happening. And like I said, we're so stupid because we're turning the world back over to these other countries that do not wish to have us in the mix. They don't want America around. Look at the Middle East. Mm-hmm. They don't want us around. All they have to do at this point is stop trading our dollar. And what the heck are we going to do?
I don't understand why Rand Paul is really the only person out there that's speaking this now. If they don't want us around, why are we involved? If they don't want us, stop giving them money. Stop giving them aid. Let them take care of themselves.
I'm definitely a non-interventionalist. I say let them deal with it themselves. Pull it out. Shut the country down. Mm-hmm. Let's be Japan, man. Let's rebuild. It's time to do that.
Let's be Switzerland. Let's set up guns on our borders, beg people to come here at their own peril. And
yeah. Well, after World War II, no one goes in or out. Nope. Let's restart the manufacturing base. And just start it over. That's what we got to do in order to save ourselves. Otherwise, we are going to drift into total economic collapse. Every major analyst is saying that now. Even Donald Trump's coming out and saying, "Look, guys, this is it."
And maybe people will start getting reawake now that the U.S. is out of the World Cup. Maybe they'll move on. You know, it was like yesterday, I couldn't really watch that game. I had nobody to root for. I was impressed that France actually took the opening whistle and didn't just be like, oh, Germans are here, we're done. I was surprised that they actually played the game. I expect them to do that one. And then everybody's like, well, why don't you cheer for Germany? Germany's good. Cheer the German team on. See, there's this little pesky problem of 6 million missing Jews that used to be here pre-1940s that aren't here. Yeah, that deal just makes it kind of hard for me to cheer for Germans. You know,
I will say that Western Germany certainly has turned itself around.
Dude, but they hold on. I'm going to go on an anti-German rant here. Look at the last 300 years of world history and how much crap has been caused by Germans. World War I, started by the Germans. World War II, started by the Germans. We had Project Paperclip that enslaved our system of government to the Nazi system by bringing all the Nazis over here.
Well, but let's break down what that really is, because again, I'm not for all of that happening, but Germany set themselves up well economically, and the globalists overtook that country, bringing them into the EU, bringing them under
it was the Bavarian Illuminati that was started in Germany.
Yeah, and so you have a situation, too, where I think you have...
The Queen's German.
I think you have...
The British monarchy's been taken over by Germans.
I understand. I think that you have a majority of people in Germany who wish to be free, just as we do. But you have a ruling elite in Germany, and also a basis... Now, don't get me wrong. There is a basis of people there, mostly in the eastern parts of the country, that are still dedicated to that whole, I think, we need to be ruling kind of idea. You also have a basis of people who are awake there, who wish to be free, who are starting to wake up. But they also, it's an interesting situation there, dude, because they own a lot of Europe.
Yeah.
A lot of it.
And the reason why I think that is, like I said, the Habsburgs, the Queen, she's German.
Yeah, and so you have that.
I think David Icke is right, and I think he's wrong in this. I think it's the German population are lizard people. I think they're from Alpha Centauri. I think David Icke might be right, that they're purely evil lizard people.
Well, no, but here's the thing. We talk all the time about how it's been a slow kill in America, right? The Nazi Germany tried to push the agenda too quickly, right? So, what if this is the slow kill in Europe too, with Germany overtaking? Because they own Greece, man. They own the banks. The banks are there. So maybe that's the slow kill. Is centered out of that area of Europe.
Absolutely, it is.
It's a good question to ask.
And you trace the bloodlines of the Illuminati back. They all come from there. It's from that Austrian border near Transylvania. All come out of the Vlad Dracul line. The Bushes, they track their lineage back to Vlad Dracul. Obama's related to Dracula. Well, it's all of this. And that's where the lizard people stories originated. Dracula wasn't originally a vampire; he was originally a giant lizard eating people.
That's true, actually.
I mean, David. I hate to say it, but David Icke might be onto something here.
Overall, though, I do want to at least defend the portion who are awake in that country, who understand what's happening around them. They're the ones reading Mein Kampf. They know what's happening, and they also want to push for this freedom. We need to activate those centers of people throughout the world.
We need to rise up.
To rise up.
It's like my analogy with this is like the good cop, bad cop thing, where you always hear about after every shooting, there's good cops. You can't lump all the cops together with the corrupt ones. No, the good cops need to be the ones standing up, taking down the corrupt cops, and speaking out the loudest about it. If you're a good German, you need to be speaking out against the evil Germans the loudest.
Exactly. Good cop was the one who was the weakest in the Lego movie. Think about that. All right.
The police tipped scepter of police encrusted scepter of Q-tip and the police remover of Nail.
I want to continue this talk when we get back, because the economy is a major point, and we'll close up hour 2. It's the Weekend Sit and Spin. Stick around.
what happens when you cross fun with classy. You're listening to KineticHighFi.com, baby. It's flashy. It's a fact. Nearly 80% of us will have back pain at some point in our lives. And for some of us, it can be debilitating. If you live in the Charleston, South Carolina area and have any kind of back issue, Peninsula Chiropractic is your answer. Peninsula Chiropractic has a reputation built on great customer service and the results most chiropractors can't deliver. One patient and local firefighter says, I have been a patient with Peninsula Chiropractic for nearly 10 years. Dr. Ty and Dr. Rob have treated me with the utmost skill, respect, and kindness as a person and a patient. I feel extremely confident with their skills and have recommended Peninsula Chiropractic to numerous people, not to mention the relaxed atmosphere and genuine caring staff that is Peninsula Chiropractic. Don't spend another day in pain. Call Peninsula Chiropractic today at 843-723-6475. That's 723-6475. Or visit the office, conveniently located within the Sergeant Jasper Building downtown at 310 Broad Street, number 2, Charleston, South Carolina. Let's be honest, realtors are a dime a dozen. However, true real estate professionals are a rare find. You want somebody who's not only knowledgeable about the industry, but who understands on a personal level the home buying and selling process. You want somebody who knows what you want. Put down those yellow pages and throw away the refrigerator magnets. Your search for the perfect professionals is over. Personal experience is what really sets Mark and Patricia Fuchs apart. Respected and revered agents with Keller Williams Realty, Mark and Patricia Fuchs provide their clients with a courteous, professional, and personalized experience. Whether you're buying, selling, or just browsing, go ahead and call Mark and Patricia Fuchs at 843-425-0953. 843-425-0953. Or visit their website at markandpatriciafuchs.com. That's markandpatriciafuchs, Fuchs.com.
Do you sometimes think life was just better when I was young? Maybe you're right. You know, there has been a marked decline in girls ages 8 to 14 that participate in Girl Scouting. And today we're looking for girls who are ready to be the leaders of tomorrow. Girls in this age group are vital to Scouting. They serve as role models for younger girls and uplift the community. And ladies, we need you to be that example too. Become a volunteer, a troop leader, or just enroll your daughter in Girl Scouts today. Call 843-552-9910 to learn more.
Yeah, it's what happens when you cross big with small. KineticHighFi.com. It's me. What you think I was gonna say? Man, you people get your head together. I don't even know. I'm trying to have an attitude every day. I gotta have it.
Your honesty, yeah, your honesty. One likes to believe in the freedom of music, but glittering prices and endless compromises shatter the illusion of integrity, yeah.
Welcome back. The Weekend Sit-and Span here at KineticHighFi.com. The KineticHighFi.com studios, keeping it rolling. That's what Brad would want. And we're doing it here this morning, talking about the breakdown at the border, talking about the breakdown of the economy, the breakdown of the Obama administration, which has been oncoming for some time.
Yeah, and can I say something? This is kind of a fun story to wrap up the second hour here. I wonder what kind of backlash. I just want to pose this as kind of a hypothetical question here, but I wonder what kind of backlash we're going to see coming after Joan Rivers after this week. After the rodeo clown incident, and him losing his job, after all the backlash for Jay Leno losing his job for speaking out against Obama. What kind of backlash are we going to see? Because did you see the comments that Joan Rivers made?
I did.
mean, God bless her. She's a great comedian. 70, 80 years old. I mean, she's been in the game for a long time.
I tell you what, she's still managing.
Lauren Krass did a Joan Rivers set, that tribute show back at the beginning of the year that was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
Great time. But photographer, street reporter, that's what they're calling the paparazzi now, is street reporters, trying to discredit us in the alternative media, the real media here, by comparing us to paparazzi. But a paparazzi asked her the other day if there will ever be a gay or female president. And she replied, "We already have it with Obama. And, Michelle is a tranny." She went on to say, which there are several videos online. There is a conspiracy theory in the community out there, which has some videos of folds in pants and things like that. It's definitely a conspiracy that's out there. I will say that.
And here's the funniest part about it. The video is, you can watch the video. It's not very long. It was in passing, okay? So the comment itself was made in a way that makes me think she wasn't joking, that she literally knows. Because she says it. She says, a transgender, we all know. It's okay. You don't have to hide it. We all know. And then she walks into her house. And it's funny, but, you watch it and you're like, wait a minute. She's not really being funny here. So
I still think this is her being on. You say things like this, and that's
and it's possible. She is old, so it's hard to read her real emotions because her face is so constructed, shall we say. But seriously, to me it looks very straight-faced, very serious, very I don't want to talk about this. We already have a gay president and his wife's a tranny.
And this is funny because the discuss comments underneath this article, it's on gossipcop.com. You can look it up. But some of the discuss comments, I like discuss for comment board. I'm glad to see that more websites are using a centralized comments. It's good because a lot of websites are taking down their comment section because there's so much pro-liberty, pro-freedom messages that
really
get put in the comments.
Yeah, there really is.
All of these indoctrination stories, you drop to the comment section and it's counteracting the story up top that you're reading, calling it out. And it's great the way people are waking up. But there's one in here that jokes are only funny when they're at conservatives' expense. There's nothing funny about our homosexual president or his transgendered wife. That's a comment that's put down there. And it's so true because you can make fun of Christians, conservatives, Republicans all day long. Gun owners, veterans, Duck Dynasty. It's trendy to pick on Duck Dynasty.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But
because they're Christians.
And that's the thing that I like about this is we've seen so many emulations of that show now, and none of them seem to catch on. Like all this, it's not picking on rednecks, it's not picking on rural communities, because the shows that try to do that don't catch on. People are drawn to Duck Dynasty because of the family values, because of the Christian atmosphere, because of the fact that they pray unapologetically at the end of every episode. Because they speak their mind and speak what's reflected in the gospel unapologetically.
Yeah, it's a cheesy show, and the people that like it know that. They watch it because it's nice to see true liberty on television, true Christian values, family morals. It's a cheesy show, but that's not the point. They don't watch it because they watch it because it's funny, but they also watch it because it's funny and it's wholesome and it's not crap.
Exactly. It's not Kardashians. It's not Honey Boo Boo.
It's not people making fools of themselves. Yeah.
And South Park did a great episode a few years back with the Honey Boo Boo episode. And do want to give a shout out with this one. Too, did find out this week it was announced that South Park will return Wednesday, September 24th. So very excited. The new season, the 18th season's kicking off Wednesday, September 24th. That's also my mom's birthday, so very good way to celebrate my mom's birthday for me, not for her. She's not a fan of the show. It's a little. She likes the concept, but the language and some of the stuff she can't get past in it. But she agrees it's good pro-liberty and has great messages, and always appreciates our South Park references here on the show. Same with Derek Daisy. We'll get one in the next hour for you, buddy.
I mean, it's a commentary on society that's important to have.
And I got to thinking the other day, it's been on for 18 years. They've said they only want to do through 20. They don't want to keep going with The Simpsons, and that's going to be a sad day for all of society. Because we're not going to have that mirror to reflect the show, the idiots in this.
We just need someone else to step up.
We do,
and to do something.
And the
even
thing
more
is,
original.
though, is that the other shows that are stepping up are replacing it with a mindless void. I mean, what would be the next best satire? What would you say? Family Guy, and that's nothing but pop culture reference after pop culture reference. I mean, South Park did a great ripping of writing Family Guy by being manatees with giant balls.
I'll be honest, I don't I don't think there is any other legitimate political satire right now.
There isn't.
Even something like the Colbert Report and Daily Show are
they're also
liberal
spun.
propaganda. Yeah, there's no just true political satire, because even South Park, they don't really necessarily have any kind of position on their shows. It's literally a straight commentary on what's going on. You know, I watch it and I hear both Democratic and Republican ideals being pushed, but they comment on the drag of society in general. If there's a good liberal concept, if there's a good liberal concept, they talk about it.
And that's the way that we all need to be. We don't need to be balkanized, galvanized, red versus blue, choose a team and stick with it.
Exactly.
That's what's leading to the destruction of our country because, as Bill Hicks says, the puppet on the right and the puppet on the left are being held by the same person. You know, I'm paraphrasing that bit there, but go back to bed, America. Here, watch Honey Boo Boo. Eat candy Oreos and get fat and stupid.
No, but seriously, that's what it is. It's you know, the illusion of choice. I think that could be our theme for this episode. Is we have the choice between whether or not we support illegal immigration.
Exactly.
It's not a choice. It's going to happen.
Yep. And as with our show, but particularly the Rush Hour, we do it to bring you closer to the heart.
So we'll close it up, the second hour, the Rush Hour, here on the Weekend Sit and Spin. Like I said, when we get back, I do want to get back into the economy. It's a short segment. But we have more economists saying that we need a major war to save the economy. Also, I want to get into this stoppage of trading on the U.S. dollar between China and North Korea. It's scary. And so much more. So Weekend Sit and Spin. You're listening, KineticHiFi.com. We'll be right back. Stick around. More to come.
Philosophers and plowmen, each must know his part to sow a new mentality closer to the heart. Yes.
Thank you for listening to KineticHiFi.com Community Radio.
At 164 King Street, find an oasis of calm, the Charleston Library Society, celebrating the written word, dedicated to enlightened thought within an atmosphere of gentility and learning. Established in 1748, it's the South's oldest cultural institution, and you're invited to visit. Come experience the elegant main reading room, our children's center, and join in to enjoy our speakers series, concerts, and other fine programs. Affordable membership is available now and always at the Charleston Library Society.
Surprise the love of your life with the meal of their dreams. Why fight traffic, weather, wait lists, annoying waiters, when the best of Charleston can come to you? Chef Michael Fanau has over 20 years of culinary expertise to please your palate. Enjoy a romantic getaway in the privacy of your own home. Pricing is much more affordable than many downtown locations, and gift certificates are available. Simply visit cookingforcouples.co, cookingforcouples.co, or call Chef Michael 843-714-8693. 843-714-8693.
I know Alan Dulles very well. I briefed him many a time in his house. Solid hour.
Hi, this is Bob Charles, the host of The Bob Charles Show. I very rarely endorse anything, but this service deserves my attention. Atlantic Repair LLC is the only credit restoration company that is actually headquartered here in Charleston, South Carolina. Unlike other companies that overcharge you because a middleman gets paid and then your credit report goes to Poland packed in sauerkraut. This company is here to help all of us and our credit problems like low scores, collections, judgments, inquiries, and a bunch of more bad stuff. Call Atlantic Repair LLC at 888-957-1118. They are the one company in South Carolina that charges 50% less than any other service on the planet, and no monthly fees either. They work till they are done. They get my vote. Now it's your turn. Call 888-957-1118 or go to www.atlanticrepairllc.com and follow the directions on page 1. They care for you.
Yo, this is...
Look, it's simple. Maximizing communication is the single most effective means of maximizing profitability. The most powerful tool at a dentist's disposal is an organized, effective team. But what dentist can afford to close their practice and carry their team to costly retreats? What you need is a highly specialized program designed to address issues of motivation, communication, inspiration, vision, and leadership to ensure success. And you need it now. Dr. Chilcutt's dental team turnaround courses are far more effective than far-flung alternatives. And the best part? At a quarter the cost of expensive retreats, these courses can be completed in the comfort and familiar surroundings of your own office. Save time, save money, save your sanity. Equip, empower, and enrich your practice today by visiting dentalteamturnaround.com. That's dentalteamturnaround.com. Or call Dr. Chilcutt directly at 205-765-4459. That's 205-765-4459.
Yo, this is Junior Reed, and when I'm in South Carolina, I stay tuned to Kinetic Hi-Fi for the best in music scene. So hear this. Gunshot of fire, bodies on the floor, cops on the block, kicking down the door, it's crazy. Whoa, it's crazy. Hey, standing on, being in the streets, it's all without a job. That's why no youths are out there on a rob, it's crazy. Whoa, it's crazy. And don't forget, it's Kinetic Hi-Fi, man, scene.
Stranger, when you thought the road was straight, in the land of what if only the dreams you have are all boring late. But the stranger wouldn't be stranger if you could see him in yourself. You know him in an instant, 'cause I've seen him in myself.
Welcome back to the Weekend Sentence Man. That's Welcome that you're listening to right there by Suburban Myth. That's my band, suburbanmythmusic.com. ReverbNation.com/SuburbanMyth. You can check out this is the new single. You can get a preview of it on those at those places of Welcome. It is due to be released in, I think, a week and a half, July 16th, and then the album at the end of July as well to be released. So getting very excited for that. We got a little bit of play in the UK on the BBC, but hopefully when the single is actually released, we'll really see something hit hard. So getting very excited. Come check us out. August 29th is where you can see our next show at South End Brewery, downtown Charleston. If you're in the area, August 29th, we'll be playing from 9:30 to 12:30 that night. So haven't plugged anything for Suburban Myth this episode, so there you go. Now I've done it. Welcome back. It's the Weekend Sentence Man. You are listening on KineticHiFi.com, Spreaker, Web Radio internationally for all the archives, SPREAKER.com. Search for the Sentence Spin Radio Network. Drew, there's another idiot economist saying we need a major war to save the economy. This is coming from George Washington's blog.
And, of course, that's the go-to for the military-industrial complex. I mean, I got the clip here keyed up. One of my favorite scenes in the Oliver Stone movie JFK was Donald Sutherland's character, Mr. X, that shows up and gives him like all the wet work knowledge, all the black ops things that are going on. And I've got the clip pulled up here where he's talking about the budget cuts and really why the wars have to continue.
And don't underestimate the budget cuts that Kennedy called for in March of '63 either. Nearly 52 military installations in 25 states, 21 overseas bases. You're talking big money. You know how many helicopters have been lost in Vietnam? Nearly 3,000 so far. Who makes that? Bell Helicopter. Who owns Bell? Well, Bell was nearly bankrupt when the First National Bank of Boston approached the CIA about developing the helicopter for Indochina usage. How about the F-111 fighter? General Dynamics of Fort Worth, Texas. Who owns that? Find out the defense budget since the war began. 75 going on to 100 billion. Nearly 200 billion to be spent before it's over. In 1949, it was 10 billion. No war, no money. The organizing principle of any society, Mr. Garrison, is for war. The authority of the state over its people resides in its war powers. And Kennedy wanted to end the Cold War in his second term. He wanted to call off the moon race in favor of cooperation with the Soviets. He signed a treaty with the Soviets to ban nuclear testing. He refused to invade Cuba in 1960.
That's amazing.
I mean, it's when you break down the money of who profits off a war.
That's right.
Yeah. Who profited off of going into Iraq when we had no reason after 9/11, if you believe the narrative, to go into. Still, the hijackers didn't come from there. They played no role in that. So even if you believe the 9/11 narrative, why would you go into Iraq? Because Dick Cheney sat on the board of Halliburton. Who got a lot of the contracts for private security over there? Halliburton. Blackwater's a division of Halliburton.
Yeah, it really is. If you go watch the show House of Cards, it really is interesting to see a look at how politicians play a role in profit for different companies. Like I said, they come into office and always leave richer. That's on record.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they make more money while they're in office. And like you said, it's about gathering contracts for special interest groups and multinational corporations.
And I think back to the great Matt Stone, Trey Parker line in basketball. Do you think Shaq got rich playing in Orlando or going to L.A.? It's like, no, Shaq got rich playing in college.
That's right. Exactly. It was 2 weeks ago, though, well-known economist Tyler Cohen, he's a professor at George Mason University, argued that in the New York Times that wars, especially major wars, are good for the economy. And here's the way to debunk that immediately. We have to borrow the money to even start the war right now. You know, we go get money from China to be able to go into this war with the, idea that we're going to make more money while we're there to be able to stabilize and help the economy with new jobs and this kind of thing. It's crap because the profit's all going to corporations. Mm-hmm. It's corporate fascism. Our government has been turned into a launching ground for profit for different corporations. That's really what it's become. They put legislation in place to protect those corporations from loss. Obama is a brainchild of the stock market, which, once you realize that, you start to realize just how frauded the wars in the Middle East are. Look at how we're balkanizing that entire area, allowing the same group of people, Al-Qaeda, rebranded as ISIS, to be able to go in and totally destabilize the country.
Oh, after ISIS has went in and killed some of the oldest Christian communities in existence in Syria. Mm-hmm. I mean, Syria has Roman ruins in it that put to shame what you see in Italy.
Yep.
They had some of the greatest Roman architecture there in Syria, some of the oldest Christian communities, the ones that were literally started by the disciples after Jesus reascended to heaven, that literally went north and started Christian communities. That they can trace their foundings back to that. And they've been completely annihilated by ISIS.
I just can't imagine what it must be like for these veterans, these recent and current, especially returning veterans that are watching that area that they were told they were stabilizing fall into the hands of the terrorists that supposedly attacked
And that's why you see so many of them jacked up on SSRI drugs. That's why you see so many of them choosing to put a gun in their mouth and take the easy way out, because we got the reports of the ones that had to train ISIS. And the Jordanian media, thank you for reporting that, because our media is not going to report that we trained ISIS at Jordanian bases. But we've got literal reports of firefights between the terrorists and our soldiers during training. Our soldiers had to sit there and take it. These guys telling them, once we destroy the Middle East, we're coming to New York. We will kill you on your own soil. Thank you. You are training us to kill you.
Which brings in a whole new conversation about the reports we'd heard back when I was in high school, that soldiers had to account for every bullet fired, a lot of paperwork going into being able to even fire off their weapons.
Oh, it's bureaucracy, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's complete bureaucracy that's overtaken our military. Look, there's no reason why we've been bogged down for a 12-year war, 13-year war now. It's because it keeps billions and billions and now trillions with inflation of dollars flowing to the military-industrial complex.
I had a moment of clarity the other day at work because I was telling one of my coworkers that this, of course, was the 200th anniversary of the Star-Spangled Banner. I don't know if you saw, but John Williams did some new arrangement of it or something. Anyway, the point was, I said that at work. I said, hey, I just saw this headline, 200th year anniversary of the national anthem. That's pretty cool. He said, oh, well, it was the War of 1812, right? So that wouldn't make any sense. Oh, wait, I guess the War of 1812 went for a couple of years. Yeah. And I'm thinking, exactly. The wars are always since. Think about how long these wars have been getting since even then.
No, I mean, the Civil War, arguably the largest conflict to engulf the whole nation, took 4 years.
Yeah.
World War II, 4 years.
We've been in a war with Iraq for 12 years. Mm-hmm. When do people wake up and say, what the heck are we still doing there?
It's funneling money to Lockheed Martin, to Boeing, to GE Defense. It's funneling money to Halliburton. It's funneling money to these corporations. It's allowing Boeing, it's giving them basically a blank check so they can go do their HARP-style VLF array in Australia.
Exactly.
That they have in Western Australia.
And we wonder how these corporations have gotten to be so large, have gotten to be multinational.
It's one thing, and I don't even think the governments should have the power of HARP to harness the weather, to cause earthquakes. All the things that we're seeing that can be done through the high-frequency antenna arrays, the HARP, and IceCat, the one in Norway, their version of it. You've got the Boeing one. But why? This is my point I was getting to, is why does a private company own that technology now? Why does Boeing have one of those in Australia?
Because they're ran like a government.
Look, did you see when they turned it on, that giant droid eye that appeared over Australia? It looks photoshopped, but it's not. That's real satellite images. It's a giant droid red glowing eye. It looks like the Terminator over Australia. IceCat in Norway calls the Norway Spiral, which again looks photoshopped, but it's not, folks. These are like portals. They're trying to rip open portals to other dimensions because they're following Aleister Crowley.
Like I said, it's unbelievable. Because these companies have gotten to be so large, how can we ever rein them in?
We can't, because we've already told them they're too big to fail. We gave them bailout after bailout and told them they're too big to fail.
Exactly. These companies are operating in many other countries besides the U.S., but we're the ones bailing them out whenever they basically go belly up, and they're already tax exempt. That's the other thing. They're tax exempt, so like the illegal immigrants, they're not paying into the tax system, which is basically destroying this country, especially when you put your economy on these large corporations that aren't paying back into the system. So we protect a corporation that's supposedly American that doesn't pay back into the American tax system. I mean, it's comical, ladies and gentlemen.
It would be if it wasn't destroying us.
All right, so that is the basis that we're going forward on. I've got an article out of Breitbart about young people hit especially hard by the Obama economy. Also, the BRICS are morphing into an anti-dollar alliance. I want to talk about that as well at a Zero Hedge. That and so much more.
Let's let the BRICS bring us to Bricksburg. Back from the dead Brikowski.
Also, Putin says, hey, Obama, let's just get along. Can't we just get along? We'll see. I'm Nick O'Kelly. This is Drew Howard. The Weekend Sit and Spin. We'll be right back.
You are only coming through in waves. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you're saying. When I was a child, I had a fever.
Yeah, this is what happens when you cross fun with classic. You're listening to KineticHighSpy.com, baby. It's flashy.
Hi, this is Bob Charles, the host of The Bob Charles Show. I very rarely endorse anything, but this service deserves my attention. Atlantic Repair LLC is the only credit restoration company that is actually headquartered here in Charleston, South Carolina. Unlike other companies that overcharge you because a middleman gets paid and then your credit report goes to Poland packed in sauerkraut. This company is here to help all of us and our credit problems like low scores, collections, judgments, inquiries, and a bunch of more bad stuff. Call Atlantic Repair LLC at 888-957-1118. They are the one company in South Carolina that charges 50% less than any other service on the planet, and no monthly fees either. They work till they are done. They get my vote. Now it's your turn. Call 888-957-1118 or go to www.atlanticrepairllc.com and follow the directions on page 1. They care for you.
It's what happens when you cross saucy with awesome. That's right, you're listening to KineticHighSpy.com, baby. It's awesome.
I was a highwayman Along the coach roads I did ride, with sword and pistol by my side. Many a young maid lost her baubles to my trade. Many a soldier shed his lifeblood on my blade. The bastards hung me in the spring of 25.
It's hard to turn this song off.
I am still alive.
It's a good song. Super group.
That's right, the Highwaymen. This is the Highwaymen by the Highwaymen. Oh, yeah. You know, it's the only song that I like Chris Christopherson in.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. I hated that movie, A Star is Born. Have you ever seen it?
Nah, I liked him in Blade.
That's all I know him from, unfortunately. Yeah. Oh, yeah, he was the old man in Blade.
Yeah.
Now, that was an awesome role.
Marvel Comics, yeah. Good
I can
movie.
get behind him in that. Okay, all right. That's all besides the point. Point is, welcome back. It's the Weekend Sit and Spin. You are listening on KineticHiFi.com. Also internationally at Spreaker Web Radio.
Yeah, and Nick, did you see this story? I wanted to comment about it because it kind of plays into some predictive programming that we saw this week out of 24. Really, we saw at the end of 24. I don't want to give a lot of spoilers, but there was a false flag attack.
That's right,
clear false flag attack shown in direct Operation Northwood style, involving nuclear submarines in the Chinese Navy. Mm-hmm. Now, did you see this? The Chinese Navy's in a frenzy to build new nuclear-powered attack subs. They have a big building race going on. It looks like a sub race, if you will, an ocean race.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Video coming from WT Washington Times. China's military is investing heavily in advanced submarines, including both ballistic and cruise missile firing vessels and attack subs. Recently, Beijing showed off what appears to be a mock-up of its next-generation nuclear-powered attack submarine, according to veteran military analyst Rick Fisher. So they're strengthening up their Navy and their Army. And, we see China making some attacks in the South China Sea against some islands. They keep the rhetoric up, ready to fight Japan, fight Korea. So definitely scary what's coming out of Red China.
It's not just the tensions being built in the Middle East falsely.
No, it's worldwide. It's built in the Pacific.
I would say that the tensions in the Middle East are relatively false, are being falsely motivated anyway. I don't know. The problem with ISIS is that as they're taking over these cities, they're also taking over all these different arsenals and being given access to all these weapons by accident almost.
Well,
but the tensions are rising worldwide, which is what's so scary.
It's not accident. We talked about this before we came on the air this morning when we were mentioning ISIS and the weapons caches and stuff. This again goes back to a Bill Hicks joke where he was talking about during the first Gulf War, Iran and the Revolutionary Guard being so well armed, and it was like, well, how do we know all the weapons that they have and the technology? And it's like, well, we check the receipt.
Yeah. Exactly.
We're just waiting for that check to clear, and then we're going in there.
Well, we leave the equipment behind and then don't do anything as ISIS continues to take over the country. I mean, that's what's going on.
Oh, and ISIS, look, this is the group that McCain went and had barbecue with last Memorial Day.
That's right.
Memorial Day 2013. He was over there having barbecue with ISIS. Our government trained and runs ISIS.
Yep.
This is just like Emperor Palpatine running the droid army and controlling the Jedi. He's playing both sides of it. The globalists are doing that.
We trained them, raised the army in Jordan and Turkey. It's on record. And shipped in heat-seeking missiles and other weapons through Benghazi. That was what part of that cover-up was for, was to be able to get the weapons into the Middle East to fund these terrorists. Look, it's the same story that we have in every other situation. Libya, we fund the terrorists to bring down the government. Look in Mexico. We don't fund necessarily terrorists, but they could be called terrorists. La Raza sending the weapons into these drug cartel gangs to be able to force the illegal immigrants up into the country. We see now that Fast and Furious was more than just profiting off of some weapon trade. It was also destabilizing the country in such a way that these citizens of those countries would feel threatened and want to leave. So there is already that emotional motivation behind them whenever they see the advertisements coming from Obama and so forth that you can come up here for free, and as long as you have kids, you can stay here. So it really is a larger. It's not a conspiracy; it's a larger operation. But it's all culminating with the U.S. dollar. I'm seeing this at a zero hedge. The BRICS are morphing into an anti-dollar alliance. It says, while numerous massively indebted administrations around the world hope to divert the attention of what's left of their struggling middle class away from its daily impoverished existence and distract it. A significantly more important shift taking place behind the scenes is appreciated by very few. The ongoing de-dollarization of the world. For the latest example of how, example of how increasingly more countries are setting the stage for the final currency war, we go to Russia, where VOR's Valentin Mandrescu, can't pronounce it, explains that slowly but surely the BRICS, BRICS, that proud Goldman acronym, which conceived to perpetuate the great American way of life by releasing trillions in U.S.-denominated debt and heretofore untapped markets, are morphing into an anti-dollar alliance. That's a mouthful.
And while all this is going on, while people are trying to drop the dollar, what did we see happen this week? The Dow hit 17,000.
Yeah,
this bubble's going to burst. We're in 1929 all over, folks. We're coming up to Black Tuesday here. It's going to crash.
Yeah, you can't say the shale oil is the reason that the Dow's hitting the 17,000. No. I'm sorry to say.
No.
And like I said, while there are elements of the economy that seem to be recovering, there is this overlooming black cloud of the stock market that's just based on nothing. There's nothing to back up this money. Not to mention that it's derivatives.
It's backed up on the birth of its citizens. That's why your birth certificate has your number on it that's sold into groups. They put these together in giant bundles, and then they're traded bundles on individuals. I mean, we are slaves. We're being sold on a slave market.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
There's no other way to say it. Only we're not being put in a middle passage ship and being shipped across the ocean. We're being shipped through subliminal messaging, shipped through mind control, through our indoctrination of our TV, of our radio, of our mass media.
Yeah, and like I said, I just want to highlight a couple of parts of this. It says, before the crucial visit to Beijing next week, the governor of the Russian Central Bank, Elvira Nabiullina, met Vladimir Putin to report on the progress of the upcoming ruble-yuan swap deal with the People's Bank of China. And Kremlin used the meeting to let the world know about the technical details of its international anti-dollar alliance. This is on the shoulders of Putin saying that he wants to now get along with Obama. It says here, quote, we are discussing with China and our BRIC's partners the establishment of a system of multilateral swaps that will allow to transfer resources to one or another country if needed. A part of the currency reserves can be directed to the new system, which is the system without the U.S. dollar. So it says that
we've been telling you for a year and a half that the collapse is coming. The dollar's going to be devaluated and crashed. That's why Bernanke got out. Yellen's the one that's come in to take the fall. She's apprehensive because she doesn't want to be on record with it, but she's done everything she can to set up this fall. They're overinflating the stock market. They're going to push the blame onto that again and say we need to bail out Goldman Sachs. We need to bail out J.P. Morgan.
Yeah, it says at the same time the new system will also act as a de facto replacement of the IMF, because it will allow the members of the alliance to direct resources to finance the weaker countries. As a bonus derived from this quasi-IMF system, the BRICS will use a part of their currency reserves to support it, thus drastically reducing the amount of dollar-based instruments bought by some of the biggest foreign creditors of the U.S. Creditors. We have all this money loaned from these people. Like I said, it's a matter of pulling out the rug from under us. That's really all that's left. Once the dollar is no longer useful to the rest of the world, which they're starting these alliances to make that the possibility, we're out in the cold, ladies and gentlemen. We are third world at that point. Nobody needs us, which is why we should be directing our economical policy towards stabilizing our own selves to where we don't need the rest of the world. We need to be becoming independent once again.
Exactly, and this has been, looking back, we all get nostalgic around Independence Day, around the 4th of July, but looking back, the greatest battle that America had has been against the banks.
That's right.
Andrew Jackson's greatest achievement was he said he killed the banks. And then we had the rise of the central bank around the Civil War, and then that's really when it took over. In 1913, when they met at Jekyll Island, did the plan, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, everything, did the Federal Reserve Plan. That was when it really just crushed us. But our founders saw the danger in a centralized bank issuing currency. Thomas Jefferson said a centralized bank issuing currency is more dangerous to liberty than a standing army.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not a conspiracy. It's really happening. There's really policy going on in the other major countries of this world, which are more stable financially than we are, Russia and China, in destabilizing the dollar. We have a fake illusion of stabilization here in this country.
Because nobody wants to talk about the fact that we're being extracted to global banking elite, trillions of dollars each month.
I've got another thing out of Zero Hedge that says by punishing France, the U.S. just accelerated the demise of the dollar. It says, not even we anticipated this particular, quote, unintended consequence as a result of the U.S. multi-billion-dollar fine on BNP, which France took very much to heart. Moments ago, in a lengthy interview given to a French magazine, Investor, none other than the governor of the French National Bank, Christian Noir, and member of the ECB's governing board, said this stunner at the very end via Bloomberg. Here it is. Quote, doesn't the role of the dollar as an international currency create systemic risk? Neuer said, beyond the BNP case, increased legal risk from the application of U.S. rules to all dollar transactions around the world will encourage a diversification from the dollar. BNP Paribas was the occasion for many observers to remember that there has been a number of sanctions and that there would certainly be others in the future. A movement to diversify the currencies used in international trade is inevitable. Trade between Europe and China does not need to use the dollar and may be read and fully paid in euros or renminbi. Walking towards a multipolar world is the natural monetary policy since there are several major economic and monetary powerful ensembles. China has decided to develop the renminbi as a settlement currency. The Bank of France was behind the popular ECB PBOC swap, and we have just concluded a memorandum on the creation of a system of offshore renminbi clearing in Paris. We have very strong cooperation with the PBOC in this field, but these changes take time. We must not forget that it took decades after the U.S. became the world's largest economy for the dollar to replace the British pound as the first international currency. But the phenomenon of U.S. rules expanding to all USD-denominated transactions around the world can have an accelerating effect. So, in other words, the head of the French Central Bank just issued a direct threat to the reserve currency of the U.S. dollar.
Yeah. And look at the two presidents that have tried to get the Treasury Department to issue their own currency to get away from it. The first was Abraham Lincoln. He was shot in the back of the head.
That's right.
The second was JFK. He was shot in the front of the head. Although official narrative says he was shot in the back of the head.
That's right.
Yeah, I think anybody with any common sense knows that the gunman was on the grassy knoll, came from the front, and front and the right because it went back into the left. It's another great Bill Hicks bit. But, and this was years ago that Dylan Radigan said this, but it's coming true. Every day we see this more and more. I'm going to play the Dylan Radigan clip that we play a lot.
$4 trillion solution, which is basically just a way for the Democrats to avoid dealing with this until 2017. I'm not here to talk about plans to deal with this till 2017. I'm saying we've got a real problem, and I'm tired of Republicans and Democrats who either want Republicans who want to burn the place to the ground, and Democrats, with all due respect, who want to offer a plan that gets it through their end of their second term of their presidency, and then screws me and my kids when it's over. And until we do that, we have to deal with the extraction that is at foot. It is the reason the financial markets are behaving the way they're behaving. That is a mathematical fact. This is not some opinion. This is a mathematical fact. Tens of trillions of dollars are being extracted from the United States of America. Democrats aren't doing it. Republicans are not doing it. An entire integrated system, financial system, trading system, taxing system that was created by both parties over a period of 2 decades is at work on our entire country right now. And we're sitting here arguing about whether we should do the $4 trillion plan that kicks the can down the road for the president for 2017 or burn the place to the ground. Both of which are reckless, irresponsible, and stupid. And the fact of the matter is...
Yeah, I mean, we need more people getting freaked out like that because, seriously, we don't have a future. I mean, I've already had to admit to myself that kids are out of the question. I don't have a future unless we can take this country back.
And just 28% now of American people say that the U.S. is number one. It's coming out of the Washington Examiner. A Pew Research Center poll found that just 28% believe the U.S. stands above all other countries in the world. 58% say it's one of the greatest countries in the world, along with some others, and 12% say there are countries that are better.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, look at Switzerland. Yeah,
that's why
the economy's still booming there. They're still growing. I mean,
people say it's racist to
Swiss are looking good in the World Cup.
Yeah.
I just have to pose this question: do you think that they warm up the same way for soccer they do for bobsledding? And if that's the case, the Jamaicans emulate them.
Probably. Why can't people say it's racist to want to shut the country down? You can't get into to Sweden if you don't have a job and a very large bank account. I mean, they don't let you in if you're not a benefit to the entire society. That's how this country should be here.
And it's great because people are waking up. I mean, these issues are really starting to galvanize people. They are waking up. They realize we're being distracted. We're being destroyed by design. That this isn't incompetency. Yeah, Bush did a great job when he was president playing the incompetent man-child. You go back and you look at his speeches before he was president, he wasn't stupid. All of these gaffes and stuff, they were perfectly played out by him. The same with Obama. We got Harry Lennox on record telling Mancow that he trained Obama to be Obama. And then they threatened to kill him, so he had to backtrack on it. But, Mancow has got staffers that heard him say this.
Oh, yeah.
That's on record saying, no, we heard him say this. He said, F Obama, you can't stand him. And then he trained Obama how to be Obama.
Uh-huh. He does act just like him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Go watch an interview with Harry Lennox. He talks exactly like him.
Same cadence, same, yeah.
It's amazing.
And they're both from South Side of Chicago. They have friendships, they have pictures together. I mean, it all makes sense that he trained Obama for years to be Obama.
Yeah, and, when we say trained, it means he taught him how to speak appropriately, how to carry himself, this kind of thing. So who knows what Harry Lennox was told when that was happening? It doesn't necessarily mean that he knew he was training a dictator.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to throw him under the bus, but the point is, that's what happened.
What I'm getting at here is that they're not as idiotic, and they hide behind this whole incompetency banner, and they wrap themselves in it like a shroud to protect themselves. And it's not that they're incompetent. This is by design.
Yeah.
This is intentional. This isn't unintended consequences of idiots.
Bush was made to look like an incompetent redneck because he was putting in a surveillance state.
Exactly, and it gets into some points. Freeman Fly does a great job where he talks about the destruction of the presidency in the last 3 presidents we've had. How in Clinton you destroy the man, you take him down for something as trivial as an extramarital affair, which nearly every politician has. The only difference between Bill Clinton and Lindsey Graham is, Bill Clinton's was a legal-aged woman. I don't want to digress into what Lindsey Graham is, but... think 180 degrees, and from that you got it. Yep. But that's the only difference there, really. And so they destroy a man of the people, then they force a president on us, and then of course Freeman Fly is great with the iconography, the symbology, W meaning 666, all of that kind of stuff too, or a W being 66 in Hebrew letters or Hebrew. I can't even get all the iconography, but forcing it through the courts into Bush, and then now a president that's complete hidden background. I don't know if I'll go as far as Freeman Fly and think that Obama's a clone of Akhenaten. The busts are freaky, I'll say that, but the matching of the Obama family to the Akhenaten's family's bust in Egypt, that's weird, but check it out, Freeman Fly's channel, FreemanTV.com. A lot of good videos on there. It really goes way far down the rabbit hole. We're 20,000 leagues beneath the hookah smoking caterpillar at this point. down the rabbit hole. I mean, I'll say that. It's when you get down that far, you do get into some weird stuff, but it's good.
Well, I did want to also, I hate being so depressing towards the end of the show, but it's not that we don't see hope. It's that we want to point this out. It's that there's definitely hope in this country left.
As down as I got at the average fat, stupid, honey boo boo American that I saw yesterday. Woo, freedom! We're so free. We're slaves to the global banking, but we're free. That type of that. For every one of those I saw last night, I saw somebody else sitting there saying, "Hey, we really are in danger now. We're losing our economy. We're losing our jobs. We're losing our families. They're destroying all these systems, these institutions that have been in place since our founding. They're being systematically destroyed." Mm-hmm. And it's not that it's the natural evolution like certain liberals would have you say. Bill Hicks was a true liberal. He was a true liberal in the vein of Thomas Jefferson. And he goes on to say that our institutions are failing us and it's natural evolution. I don't think so. It's a forced evolution by the entertainment industry, by the marketing industry.
That's right.
We are slaves to big marketing and big entertainment. Look at the buses here in Charleston, the Carta buses that are now wrapped in McDonald's logos. That makes me sick.
Oh, and not only that, I have to find it really quick. We can read it for the last segment, but talking about how everything profits off of us now. I saw an article about how hospitals are using your credit card information now to surveil how often you're sick, putting a metric on that so that they can try to predict when people are going to be sick, like Amazon.
It's like the Facebook thing we talked about last week, where it was testing people's emotions by showing them sad stories or happy stories and seeing how they responded. We're all rats in a giant social experiment now. And it dates back to the ending of World War II when we brought over all the German psychiatrists, all the German engineers, all of the physicists and stuff that had worked in the concentration camps. We brought Werner von Braun over. We'll ignore the fact that he was a sergeant in the SS, which to get to that level, you don't get to being a sergeant in the SS by, kind of not really wanting to go along, consciously objecting to what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You became a sergeant in the SS by, let's just be honest here, by doing what ISIS is doing to Christians. You became a sergeant in the SS by doing that to Jews. You beheaded them in the streets and things like that.
I mean, and, talk about being a social experiment. Of course, we read that came out this week that Facebook has attempted or has gone through with several social experiments now. One of those being whenever everybody was told that they didn't have access to their account, it was intentional and a way to see what the reaction would be.
We saw the banks. Remember last year we talked about several of the banks, Chase Manhattan, a couple of the other big banks, stripped everybody's accounts just to see what would happen. Mm-hmm. They took all the money out, said it was a glitch. It was a computer glitch that caused everybody's accounts to reflect zero balances. That was social engineering to see what would happen. That was testing out to see, are we going to have riots in the streets? What's going to happen? Mm-hmm. Do we need to get the MRAP takes out of there? Found a bunch of those last night down on the naval base. Let me just say that. I drove past one place. There was probably 70 MRAPs sitting out there. Very scary. And I think I found the FEMA camp last night. I don't want to dive into it too much, but we were walking through an area of the naval base. It was weird. It was a bunch of abandoned buildings, houses, things like that. But the yards were kept up. It was weird. Like all the yards were kept up. It looked like they were ready for people to move in, but there was no furniture in there, nothing in the houses. They were all empty. And it's like perfectly nice antebellum style houses. Why aren't they being rented out? What's going on with that? Who's keeping them up?
Very strange.
For nothing. Yeah, it was very weird. And we do know there's a FEMA camp on the Charleston Naval Yard. I mean, it's confirmed. It's on the FEMA camp map.
Oh.
Excuse me. Detention centers and not FEMA camps. We can't call them that.
I'm surprised we haven't seen any illegals here.
They're not FEMA camps. I did look. There is a map on Drudge, an interactive map showing where they're getting ready to relocate. There is nothing coming to South Carolina, it looks like. Now, this may not be completely. They may, be doing some red herrings here, not showing us all the places where they're looking at sending illegals. I tell you what, though, if they did relocate it here, I think what you would see is people standing up to it. And the map's showing places that have blocked it. It's been blocked in Alabama. It's been blocked in Virginia. It's been blocked in New York. Michigan's on the verge of blocking it. It looks like up near Traverse City they're going to be sending some people. Chicago's on the list. They've blocked it. Right now it looks like Oklahoma, a lot of places in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and California, and one place in Pennsylvania are getting the illegals. It's above the top headline on Drudge if you want to find the map. It's also at numbersusa.com.
Mm-hmm. Just type that in, and you'll find it.
Yep. I think I'm going to skip this last break, Nick, because there's a few stories I want to get to. There's one coming out of France, too, that I don't know if you saw, but, time and time again, we're seeing the events of Sandy Hook, of the Elliot Rodger situation out in California, the school shootings, all the mass shootings, the Gabrielle Gifford shooting. All we hear time and time again is we got to take the guns. Mass shooting, people are being killed, it's the guns' fault, ban the guns. Right? Mm-hmm. Even with Sandy Hook being, I'm pretty sure anybody that can objectively look at Sandy Hook will tell you that it's a fake event. It's definitely inside job. I don't think any kids were killed that day. Nothing about that makes sense. And Wolfgang Halbig's says he's got what he needs. He's getting ready to move forward. He says at the end of the month he's got what he wants. Since day one, he said he wants to get people in court, have them put their hands on a Bible, and tell what happened that day. He's got enough evidence now, he says, to pursue a civil lawsuit in Sandy Hook. He's doing that. We'll keep you updated with that. But right now I want to get back to the story coming out of the AP from France right now. This is horrific. Mom kills kindergarten teacher in class with a knife. She stabbed the teacher to death in front of her students with a knife in school. See, it's not the guns. You're not going to ban the guns and stop this. You know, it's violent instincts in people that cause this. It's not the weapons. You know, we already see Great Britain trying to make you have to have a chef license to get a knife because of this. But is that going to stop it? Is that going to stop crazy moms from killing teachers with knives? Or think back to that story from a few years ago in India where they raped that girl to death on a bus with an iron rod.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can't. I saw a Facebook meme this morning that said even duct tape can't fix stupid.
Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, I've lost, and this is sad to say, but I've lost numerous friends to car accidents. Even this week, like we've mentioned on here, very sad for Kinetic Hi-Fi losing Brad Cooper, our owner, and the guy that really, this was his dream, and he made it a reality. He built this. Screw you, Obama. Brad built this. And it was his dream. But, I've lost countless friends to car accidents dating back. I mean, conservatively, I'd say probably 10 people in my lifetime, close friends, people that I know really well, have died in car accidents. My graduating class in high school lost somebody, at least one person a year between 5th grade and graduation because mostly of car accidents. A few of them weren't, but mostly that. But I'm not leading any petitions. I don't have a change.org petition or a moveon.org petition out here trying to ban cars because it's not the cars. It's things happen. Things out of human control happen. We as much as we want to set up and claim that we are the masters of this planet, the masters of this world, we are not. Whether you believe it's God, whether you believe it's random fate, whether you believe it's a flying spaghetti monster, there are things that are just out of our control.
Yeah, you are not invincible.
And the violent inclinations of other people is one of the things that no matter what, you cannot control. They're going to be there. I mean, biblically, 4 people on earth and one of them committed murder.
Yeah,
let's look at that. 4 people: Adam, Eve, Cain, and Abel, and Cain's killing Abel.
Yep. Think about even like with video games and stuff. It always comes up that that causes some violence. I'm not a proponent of that, but the point is, think about how kids have been trained to think that they are invincible, that they can do whatever they want, they can get away with it. It's taking away the common sense, the street smarts. You don't jump off a cliff because you're going to die. That's what's being taken away from
exactly.
Our kids.
Nobody out there wants to be like George Costanza anymore. Be smart, maybe not classically educated, but very perceptive. It was the great thing about George Costanza. He always knew when somebody was uncomfortable at a party.
Yeah. Well, he was cynical. Cynicism is not always a bad thing.
No, I'm very cynical. I think most people, the world makes you cynical because you see so much corruption, you see so much pure evil, and you see really the people that hold themselves up into places of power to fight this corruption and evil become slaves to it.
And if the way we set ourselves apart as a productive member of society is learning to see the light through the cynicism. You are cynical to be able to understand what's happening and not trust everything that you see so that you're not naive. Yeah. But then you also know how to stay positive and turn those things around into something productive.
Yep. A month ago, we had a wanted black mass at Harvard. Remember, they tried to put on black mass before that got stopped. And today we have bombs and an armed man walking around Harvard.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any surprise there? I mean, you have a black mass, you have bombs and armed people. Yeah.
Well,
I have to laugh at this because people are so. I don't want to say naive because I can't believe that you could be this naive, but people are so. I guess just ignorant would be the best word to what's going on around them. Nobody looks up anymore. You look at your screen. It's Wall-E. You look at your screen. You ride around in your mobility cart because you're too fat to walk. This is coming out of theblaze.com, Nick. Did you see this article? Also getting into a little bit more of the esoteric we've been talking about, particularly with Aleister Crowley, the sex magic rituals, and the pure evil that our leaders subscribe to. New York Police Department cop turned demonologist says he believes that demon possessions are on the rise. So he's seeing more and more cases of it. And I definitely feel like, I personally feel like, there is almost like a hand of God being removed from our society. Mm-hmm. And I definitely feel like we're being taken over by demonic entities. I've said time and time again on here that I think a lot of UFO cases are actually demonic entities. I do believe we've got demonic entities all around us, and it's just like the Bible said. We fight not against flesh and blood, but against powers and principalities.
Well, when you have a president that's willing to collapse our border and the economy in parallel while shipping guns into the Middle East to fund jihadists into toppling stable governments, I'd say evil exists. I mean, that is not something that a normal person would have any interest or desire to do.
Whether you're religious or not, these archetypes exist time and time again. You have to admit that the Satan archetype is there. There's always that evil. Mm-hmm. And then you get into just the Vatican's deep space telescopes named Lucifer. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, folks. You really can't. And Pope says Sundays are good not just for believers, but for everybody to take relaxing Sundays. That's on Drudge, Nick. Did you see that one?
Oh, yeah. Well, we don't want to work ourselves to death. And like I said, that's kind of the point here. On this 4th of July weekend, as so many of us are out of work, or off of work, I should say. Maybe there's a lot of us out of work as well, but off of work, that we take time to reflect what's really going on around us, because I think that's a big part of our daily distractions, especially here in America, is that there are a lot of Americans who are hardworking, that go to work every day, that do their routine, and as far as they're concerned, that's what they should be doing, and they are being productive members of society that way. Problem is, they don't, like you say, look up, and they don't realize in that daily drone of trying to make money, trying to be prosperous, trying to live the American dream, which is becoming more and more difficult, they forget to look up and realize what's happening around them.
Because you have every aspect of the lamestream media of pop culture, of our indoctrination systems from Hollywood. Again, the magical, mystical spells of the Wood of Holly wands being waved. But you have every aspect of that telling them, hey, just follow the system, obey these rules to be happy, have everyone like you, and fit in.
That's right.
I said it backwards. I think it's fit in, have everyone like you, and always be happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, follow the rules for that. And that's what you get, is you get a lot of little Emmets running around with their rule books saying, I have to do this. I like chicken wings. I like sausages. I like croissants.
That's right. And sometimes you forget to take a step back and relax a little bit. So... Because think about it this way, Sundays, this is a good analogy. The Pope's saying Sundays is good not to work. I mean, of course, that's the Sabbath. We should keep it holy, but at the same time, well, actually, that's Saturday. But point is, that's our day of reflection and worship, supposedly, in a Christian society. But look at also how Black Friday has turned a holiday into commercialism. Mm-hmm. Sunday is the same way. You have Chick-fil-A is the only company that you could probably name off the top of your head that closes on Sunday to respect that day. You don't have that anymore. In fact, they're seen, I think, probably for most people as weird for doing it. Mm-hmm. They don't understand it, and people probably get upset with Chick-fil-A for that.
Yeah. It's like, just to the New World Order, to everybody listening, just take this to heart.
You don't have to be the bad guy. You are the most talented, most interesting, and most extraordinary person in the universe. And you are capable of amazing things. Because you are the special. And so am I. And so is everyone. The prophecy is made up, but it's also true. It's about all of us. Right now, it's about you.
That's right. It's about you out there. It's about us here at the Weekend Sit and Spin, and that's why we come and do this show every Saturday to talk about current events and get people awake to what's going on around them. so that hopefully we can come together as in the name of liberty and continue our path of prosperity rather than certain destruction that Obama and the socialist corporate fascist agenda and administration has tried to put into place here in this country. I'm Nick O'Kelly. This is Drew Howard. You've been listening to the Weekend Sit and Spin.
And stay tuned to the Facebook page this week, facebook.com/Sit-Spin-Radio. We'll have all the details when we get them for any memorials for Brad here at the station. Definitely hope to see everybody out there. And as we celebrate the extremely too short life of a very great man, Brad Cooper.
That's right. And please keep the Cooper family in your prayers and thoughts this week.
Exactly. And you know, Brad had a smile for everybody he met. And he truly lived by this mantra, I think, because I never saw him not treat anybody this way. And it's what we leave you with every week here.
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes!
That's right. Party on, Drew.
Party on, Nick.
All right.
And party on, Brad.
That's right. And the great gig in the sky. I'm Nick O'Kelly. Drew Howard, you have been listening to the Weekend Sit and Spin. You can catch us every Saturday morning, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. on KineticHiFi.com. Also Sunday mornings now for the Sunday Morning Freedom Spin block. Drew Howard Show, 9 to 11, 11 to 1, Sunday Spin with Nick O'Kelly. So join us there tomorrow morning for that, and Spreaker.com for all the archives. We'll see you next time. From Kinetic Hi-Fi, it's the Weekend Sit and Spin.